Wake up all the doctors, make the old people well. They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hell. They don't have so very long before their judgment day. So won't you make them happy before they pass away? Wake up all the builders, time to build a new man. I know we can do it. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. Na 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 na. Charles, we back. Good morning, Chicago. Good morning, world. This is the WVON Morning Show. I'm your main man, Maze Jackson. Got Charles Thomas in the building. Charles, how you feeling this Monday?
I haven't felt this woke in months, to be honest with you. Man, what a weekend.
Man, what a weekend. What a weekend. I can't wait to talk about it. We'll talk about that and more. But before we even get started, you know I can't do this without introducing the WVON Morning Show team. The people flying the soul plane to the Lion's Den. You know, flying the soul plane to the Lion's Den. That's right. Annette Flournoy, how you feeling this morning?
I really love this song. When we hear this in the morning, it's just so energizing to me. So, you know, it was good hearing it. I needed the extra energy off this weekend.
You know, I feel the same way about this song. I've tried to come up with, make up my own theme song and everything, but who knew that Wake Up Everybody 2 years ago would be so relevant today?
Who knew Wake Up Everybody 30 years ago would be so relevant today? Think about it. That's Teddy 30-some years ago.
Teddy, wake up! Now, I'm going to tell you, if you're going to wake up, you cannot wake up without the musical conductor of the soul plane. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Sonia Escobar in the building. Sonia, how you feeling this morning?
Good morning, guys. What a weekend, huh?
Sonia, I missed you at the Bud Billiken. I don't know what happened. Did our wires get crossed out?
No, my grandma, she had something to do.
Okay.
And she doesn't drive,
The dog ate the homework. Your dog ate your homework. I got it.
I have no power.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the WVON Morning Show. I'm going to tell you, man, Bud Billiken weekend, Charles, it was a doozy of a weekend, man. You know what, Charles, let me tell you. I had a busy weekend. I ran out here on Friday, got my kids, celebrated with my son for his birthday. Then on Saturday morning, bright and early, WVON, the Bud Billiken parade. Now, Charles, Kenny B and me were both looking for you. What happened, man?
Oh, man, I watched a sanitized version on television of the parade. I kept looking for you. I saw Kenny B, a flash, go by. And he was with Willie Wilson.
Did you see them stepping in the middle of the street?
Yeah, they stepped, but then they took the camera off of him, and I couldn't quite understand
I'm going to tell you, you know why? Let me tell you why. See them camera shots? Them camera shots cost about between $20,000 and $50,000 a pop. And you know Kenny B smooth. Yeah. So Kenny B like, you know what? I know how to beat this $20,000 to $50,000 move. And so he got in, and somebody, one of them producers said, hold it. I'm telling you, I've been to Bud Billiken years. They like, hey, they're on the TV. They paid for that. So, you know, Kenny B, though, he's smooth, man.
Yeah, but they kind of kept that other stuff off, you know, all the demonstrations, the WIITFB, you know.
The what's in it for the black people?
T-shirts and the pouring of the pop, the ceremonial pouring of the pop, and the salute to Queen Sugar.
Queen Sugar, boy, she was out in full effect. She had a team, but you know, it didn't. She had the team out, but boy, she didn't. You know, the Queen sometimes, boy, she put the foo-fops on. You know, she used to walking around hitting people with the bullet stick.
Yeah, with the candy cane.
With the candy cane, she candy crush him, boy. She be candy crushing him. You know what?
Use the candy cane as a scepter.
It was what was wonderful though was to see a little humility, right? To see a little like royalty. It was good to watch people be accountable to the people instead of being treated like royalty.
I think we're making a difference in that regard. I think that a lot of these politicians are kind of like stepping lightly, treading lightly when they're around people these days, and I think it's all because of a new spirit, a new feeling, a new sense of you got to be held accountable. They got to answer the question. You know what that is. The
question, what's in it for the black people? Charles, seems like that seems to be a problem for a lot of people. And you know what, I keep going back and forth with this social media question, and I think I'm going to ride this into this. It'll be a different one. But Charles, I am telling you that I'll be honest with you, I was nervous going to Bud Billiken. You know, there have been people that have been taking shots at me, personally, taking shots at my wife, who has absolutely nothing to do with what I do. Has nothing to do with it. And so I'll tell you, Charles, it's different for you. Because, you know, you live in the ivory tower, so you get to say... Okay, not the ivory tower.
Now, I mean, I just...
So, you know, you come down with the people, but, you know, you, Charles, I'm like still in it. Right? Like, you kind of have levitated above it. No, you in it, but, you know, I'm walking in it. You like drive in it. I'm walking.
Well, I think you got a different situation.
And I'm a lot younger.
You're a lot younger, and
I'm still in the mix, right?
I'm still in the mix, but I mean...
You know, I had a foot in.
Editorially in the mix, but I mean, I don't feel any need to go out there and prove anything to anybody. I just try to deal with the facts.
Right, and
that's
what I thought you was teaching me too, just to deal with the facts. But apparently, dealing with the facts makes a lot of people sensitive. Yeah, I don't understand why the facts are such a bad thing, but apparently, so Charles, I tell you. I was thinking twice about this Bud Billiken thing. I really was. Especially the breakfast. Because, you know, the breakfast is where everybody, you got the governor, you got the queen, you got the mayor, you got them all. They all in one spot. And so, you know, I like to use that statement. I felt nervous like a long-tailed, a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Didn't you get some information there, though? Intelligence about... how they gonna, you know, we talked Friday about how the business, the big shots.
You got the cell phone
in the middle of the night, but apparently you got some information out there about
what's next.
Maybe a new crusade.
There is a new crusade, Charles. I tell you, apparently. So you know, when you're on the side of the people, just like you got that phone call, somebody pulled me and said, "Brother May, come in."
They pull your coat.
They pulled my coat tape. Well, I didn't have a coat tape. Pulled my sheet tape. Said, "Give me that May said shirt with the whiff in it. Come here, let me tell you something. I want to tell you about the plan to take you and Charles down." Ooh. I said, now, is this a coincidence? Because Charles got a late night call last Thursday coming into Friday, and now here it is Saturday, Charles. And a brother pulls me to the side and he says, "Hey, man, let me whisper something in your ear." I said, "What you want to whisper?" I was listening. I was frozen in suspense, and he said, "You know what? I'll tell you about it after traffic and weather." Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the Talk of Chicago. You want to hear what is the next plan of the Afrostocracy to take down the WVON morning show? Come back after traffic and weather, and we'll let you know what happened. This is the WVON morning show. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, and y'all, we ripping the skirt off of all this stuff. We'll be back after these messages.
More of the morning show with Maze Jackson coming up.
Sorry, I know after these messages. Perfect setup. You know what?
That's perfect setup.
That was like the foo. You like, look, ooh, I got it. He's coming for the we dunking it when we come back, y'all. Charles, you got the camera. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Y'all can't wait to hear this one. Y'all can't wait to hear this one. Oh, man. But they coming. But they said they had full-fledged, full-scale war going. They're going to wage a war. And so they're going to open up. I told you about one front last week. And that's the, the big shots. But then they got this other front that they're gonna open. And I tell you, this is one that this is the go-to front. This is the go-to front. When they go to this one, that means it's serious. But apparently they're gonna go to it. And my brother, little brother, baby brother is gonna tell you about it when he comes back. But this is what you live for. This is what you live for. And you know, I had a good time. I spent the weekend hanging out. I went out to Naperville to see some of my other grandchildren. I got 2 sets, some in Evanston and others in Naperville. Went out to the Naperville grandkids, and when I was out there, I got me 3 cases of pop.
You ain't bring me none?
No, I ain't bring you none, man. I thought about you, but I didn't have enough money, man. I was short, so I couldn't get that Snapple, but I got the diet root beer and the diet ginger ale and 2 cases of diet root beer. I like that diet root beer. And then I got me some lemonade for when my grandbabies come to the house. I just put it in the back of the fridge. Yeah, but I had to get my, and I picked up some other stuff when I was out there, you know, which is what they say people are gonna do. But I certainly did it. Saved me about $4, $5, $6. Actually, I counted it up, how much money I saved. But it's what you gotta have to do. You gotta go out there, you gotta fight back. You gotta fight back. And yeah, we're gonna talk about the rest of the weekend too, and this thing that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
One of your friends buy that lottery ticket?
We will be talking about that because that's deep. And we're gonna have Brother Salim Muwakil here, who is gonna have, like, you know, his spin on it, the philosopher. And we're gonna try to put this in some greater perspective. Because if you notice, there wasn't that many black people out there in Charlottesville over the weekend.
Chicago.
Or in Chicago, for that matter. This seemed to be a great surprise on the part of a lot of white liberals that there actually is a virulent racist community out there. But we're going to talk about that too. But we're about ready to come back. May's going to tell you who we got to deal with now. Coming at us from above. We got it coming from the sides and from the back. They're coming from above now.
Or below, depending on who they master is.
Depending on your point of view.
Depending on who they master is, y'all, we might get a little personal here today. Y'all might get some real info today and some real insight. Y'all, we talk about this, but what's our defense plan? See, I'm going to tell you what worries me about this Charlottesville is that it occurred on a college campus. What were the black students doing? Were they in their rooms like, could you imagine having
yeah.
But I'm saying, could you
go up in front of the Klan?
But I'm saying, can you imagine being a black student at campus that day? What do? Do you not go to the residence hall? Do you not eat? I'm just saying there are so many other factors that we're not even thinking about with this stuff.
But like that's University of Virginia too. I mean, they ain't like got a lot of them out there, you know.
Shoot, but ain't there? So my guess is University of Virginia. I bet you there's a black college somewhere around there that was the offshoot from that, and them kids got to be walking through it. I'm just saying, what's the defensive plan for all our young people?
Lock and load, bunker down, man, like we did for hundreds of years. When white folks go crazy, man, you better go inside, get your shit, and just wait.
Said that I'm going shopping today. I'm going to Cabela's today. Give me one. Bass Pro Shops. Imagine in the streets without cops harassing. Imagine going to court with no trial. Lifestyle cruising blue behind waters. No welfare supporters. More conscious of the way we raise our daughters. Days are short, nights are colder. Feeling like life is over. These snakes strike like a cobra. The world's hot. My son got knocked. Evidently, it's elementary. They want us all going eventually. Trooping out of state for flake knowledge. If coke was cooked without the garbage, we don't have the top dollars. Imagine everybody flashing, fashion, designer clothes, lacing your click up with diamond rolls. The people holding dough, no parole, no rubbers. Going raw, matching law with no undercovers. Just a thought for the mind. I take a glimpse into time. Watch the black read, the world is mine. You are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago 1690 AM. I am your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And man, Charles, if I rule the world, we be free now.
Now. Right now.
Right here, right now.
If you rule the world.
But I don't rule the world.
Sure don't.
But apparently Queen Sugar thinks that she does. And so, Charles, I'm going to tell you, I went out to the Bud Billiken Day breakfast, which is the there's two Afrostocracy holidays. One is the Bud Billiken breakfast. The second is the skyboxes, but I'm going to let that be. But I went out, Charles, and you know how you got that late night phone call? You know, when you walk through the crowd, I told you I was nervous going.
Somebody pulled your coat.
They pulled my shirt. They pulled my "What's in it for the Black People" T-shirt.
Yeah.
And they said, "Man, come here. I can't be seen talking to you. So could you come around here, around the corner?" So I, jumped in my 4-wheel drive, ran around the corner.
What they say?
Brother Charles, they said, "Hey man, we heard the show, and Charles told you about the business part. But there was a meeting yesterday, and the preachers, she has organized the preachers, and they are about to take you all down."
Now, but you know what you're going to have to do if you get the preachers?
I'm going to pray?
No, you got to get some money. Because you got to put something in that pot, man, before the preachers make a move. They're going to say, "Oh, what's in it for the preachers?"
And Charles,
Oh man, not the preachers.
Charles. So I ran into her head preacher.
Man. The head preacher?
I ran into her head.
The head preacher.
Everybody got them a crew of preachers now. So what you do is, once you get to the top, you arrange a group of preachers.
Oh man.
You figure out how you can get them a board appointment. You figure out how they can get the land next door to them, how they can get them some dollar lots. Don't pay. And then what you do is, you hire one of them to put y'all together. Right? And then they because then you get on staff. So
that's usually the bishop, because the bishop got some preachers under him.
Well, see, that used to be. See, the bishop is if you part of the machine.
What?
See, if you know the old school gang, then you hire the bishop.
Yes,
but if you don't know, if you ain't from the gang, then you're not hiring the bishop. There they go.
What?
That is the Afrostocracy alert.
They call it.
That is you're going too far, boy. You're going too far. You're going too far.
Kingfish, they're going too far now.
So, Charles, the good reverend said, so he said they're going to organize, they are going to step to you all about calling her Queen Sugar as a black woman and how offensive it is. And I was just like, really? Like, have we gotten to the point where on a radio show we can't tell a joke, or they're gonna mobilize the preachers?
First of all, we didn't come up with it.
All right, shout out Dennis Evans.
Yeah, we've been very clear that this is something that one of our listeners has come up with, and we said, "Wow, that's cute. Wow,
I thought it was funny."
Yeah, sugar tax, and Queen, big show on OWN. I mean, blame Oprah.
Right. Corners in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the theme song?
Yeah. I mean, Queen Sugar's theme. Everybody gotta have theme music.
You know what?
Everybody gotta have theme music.
We have now theme song.
Like theme from like Shaft, and you gotta
get the corners of my mind. Take flight. The corners of my. See now, Charles.
Yeah.
So the preachers. So I saw the head preacher, I said,
"Is there a head preacher?"
The head preacher for her crew.
For her,
she's got her own. Everybody got their own mob of preachers.
Everybody got their preachers.
Charles, I learned this. See, part of the reason, you know how you always talking about walking me for church.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that I don't go to church is because of the politics of it all.
Well, man, look, I'm sorry. I go to church and I love.
I'm not hating on your church. I'm not hating on your church. Church, we know you love your church. Charles.
Pastor Hannah, you don't have to worry about anything with me.
But
my tithe is there. I'm there. I'm good.
And so, but part of it is because do you know I'm a preacher's kid?
I know that.
Okay, I don't think they know I'm a preacher's kid, and So the thing is, Charles, with the preachers, is that the head preacher was like, "Yeah, brother, we gonna have to come on and get you," and I said, "So wait." So in spite of the fact that, do you agree that the black community is all screwed up? Yes, I do. Do you believe?
No, actually, I believe the preacher's been running game for a long time. They ain't for no votes. They're doing nothing but
But you know the answer is to everybody, go to the black church. That's why you see it all the time, and they be there to collect. So I was offended at the fact, because I know the Bible. Very well.
I know, man. Saturday night, you did all the books of the Bible, chapter and verse. I said, listen to this.
They don't know I'm a preacher's kid.
My wife and I listened to you and said, you believe that?
That's because, Charles, I know the Bible back and forth. He used to have to read it every summer, cover to cover. So when these preachers come, I just want to make sure that they righteous in their pursuit. So if you stood up and you defended immoral acts in the Bible, but you want to come at me for asking what's in it for the black people, then I want to encourage everybody. Go back and watch Birth of a Nation and think about the role of the preacher there. His job was to keep the slaves. To tell them your master was a good master. He beats us, but this is what the Lord wants from us. Now
did I hear somebody?
What was that? Right.
Oh, Lord.
See, so let me just say this. So, Charles, the social media question of the day.
What's the social media question of the day?
Have black ministers become more political than pastoral? It is
some.
A lot.
Some.
I think people are racing to get that. I think everybody
their mission in life should be to save souls, not to do politics.
Charles, how come they always do? Every time I see a preacher, he doing political press conference.
It's not all of them. It's those that make money doing it. These guys that have these 50-member congregations, they go out and fool somebody like Rahm or Richard M. Daley and tell them they got all this power. But it's these small preachers that are doing this stuff. I don't think that. I be like,
where you even get? How you got bishop on your hat, man?
Yeah, I mean, guys.
How you got baseball hat that say bishop?
That's right. I mean, bishop of what? I mean, I've seen some actually. I'm not gonna go there.
So, Charles, I want to ask the social media question of the day, because apparently they have got the ministers, and now the ministers are offended at Queen Sugar, at us using the reference of Queen Sugar. But I think they got, man, did you hear about the church? Man was taking his kids into the church and got shot on the steps, and they got time to be dealing with Queen Sugar? Listen to me. Social media question of the day. Have black ministers become more political than pastoral? Give us a call, 773-591-1690. It's 6:30. We got news, traffic, and weather next.
Live from the WVON newsroom, here's our news.
Yeah, okay. So, real talk. Now, I would say who it was. Well, he might be up in here. But I'm going to call him Reverend Remy. Reverend Remy.
I love, by the way, how you rolled into the last break with the tease.
Oh, yeah.
That was way cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That was good. Personality, everything in there.
Here come the preachers.
Here come the preachers.
Here come the preachers.
Look, I got them, boss. I got them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. It is Monday, and I am asking a social media question of the day. Now, I don't know if you all were listening, but check it out. Somebody pulled my What's in It for the Black People shirt coattail the other day to tell me that Queen Sugar is at us, and she has decided that she is going to mobilize the black ministers to take us down. So I got to ask the social media question of the day, because I feel like they need to have some other business than to be worried about politics. So, social media question of the day. Have black ministers become more political than pastoral? Give us a call, 773-591-1690, post Facebook. But man, why you all in my politics? We need some prayer around this city. Pray! Peace. I'm out of here. So y'all, all I'm saying is, think about the fact that part of the strategy to deal with black people asking what's in their best self-interest is to go get preachers and go get them to come. What they gonna do, hold a press conference? What they gonna do, stand up in their church and say, hey y'all, that black man telling y'all to stand up for y'allself and represent your own self-interest, don't you listen to him. That is the devil's handiwork. Hey, I'm gonna go to church on y'all, because y'all don't know about Peter. Y'all don't want me to go down the books. Y'all don't want me to go down the books. Because you see, every white person in the world feels it's their job to get to the black community is to come to the black church. And there are so many black pastors who have manipulated that and taken that and used that to their advantage. The black church traditionally has been a pillar of our community, right?
Had to be though, Mace. Had to be.
Charles, I'm okay, and I agree with that. But the fact of the matter was, our ministers stood on a moral authority at some point. At some point, they took their direction from God. Hopefully. Right now, the pursuit is to take their direction from some boss so that they can get the economic largesse. Now, you see the difference in the pastors, because the pastors that have grown their churches and their congregations, they ain't the ones lined up trying to be on the team. The ones that got business of the church, they ain't got business, they ain't got time to be sitting up to be trying to organize ministers to go against black people. Think about the gravity of a black pastor being pulled into a room by a politician to be organized to tell you not to represent your self-interest. Those are the Pharisees. Those are the Pharisees. When you read about them people in the Bible that got all the scholars and know all the biblical words and all that, but then those are the money changers in the temple. Y'all do not want me to go down this path, and I'm going to just tell you. I know black preachers real good. Real good. Real good. As the son of a black pastor, one that has a street named after him that he never claimed, right? And as the stepson of another pastor who has a church, who has watched and witnessed all how the political pastors, because they all got these medium-sized churches, medium to small-sized churches, and how they get their bump is to be, they get pointed to the board. So now they controlling the stuff that's happening in your neighborhood. They sit on some planning commission or some planning council, so that gives them their juice. So go down and look at the record books and see how many people got land in your neighborhood, how many preachers got money from your neighborhood. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not honoring this preacher stuff at all. And God gave me a flaming sword to deal with preachers. So I'm just telling you, what y'all gonna come up and defend immoral lifestyle? Come on, I'm ready. I'm ready. Woo, Lord. This is Reverend Remy too. When he found out I was the Remy Martin rep, oh, you got that Remy? Man, can you give me a bottle? You got to hook up on White Hennessy? Oh, you forgot about that, right? See, y'all, let me tell you, people forget, I got you. I keep a file. I keep a file. Keep a file. And just so y'all know, that Lauren Peters, remember the hands? Don't, okay. I'm going to stop. But I'm just saying, y'all, they are going to send... Think about the gravity of mobilizing black preachers to say, those Negroes are disrespectful. Your job... Look, here's what's happening right now. Y'all probably don't realize it. Everybody is in trouble because the Negroes are acting up. And they keep pointing saying, ain't these your Negroes? Get them back in line. And so what happens is all the time the way that these people make their money is they bring white folks or black folks to our community and we don't say nothing because they with that person. So they think it's all good in the hood when it really ain't. So now y'all speaking up and they saying to they Negroes, y'all supposed to have these Negroes in check. Bloats. But it's still fine. Some say a man ain't happy unless a man truly dies. Oh, why times. Baby, let's speak. You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And Charles?
What do you say, Maze? Man, you know,
the Afrostocracy, the religiosocracy, I don't know.
Well, you know, look, let me tell you. I'm going to say, I go to church every Sunday, most every Sunday. And my pastor, John F. Hanna, he pastors the largest congregation in Chicago, Sunday to Sunday. That's New Life Covenant Southeast. And he doesn't allow politicians to say a word in our church. They can come there, they can wave, they can do it, but they cannot speak at our church. And I thoroughly respect my brother for that. He does not allow politics to get involved with our worship. And I'm going to tell you, Charles, there are great pastors that do not, but then there are those that use that as an opportunity. See, Charles, the problem with the preachers that they gonna try and put against me is all us are the same preachers that I used to have to give the bag to when I rep the politicians. So remember, before you do it, remember, I handed you the check. I gave you the cash. You gave the bag. I gave you the bag. Don't forget the history. So before you run up, remember, because boss, I got him. We gonna get this. And I'm gonna tell Reverend Remy. Reverend Remy, why you call him Reverend Remy? Because Reverend Remy, when he found out I used to represent Remy Martin. That's cognac. Remy Martin cognac. This is a preacher? This is the preacher. Who wanted he said, cognac? I need a couple bottles of that. I got to put that in my collection. See, Charles, and I said, I go to a different kind of church. Right? You sure did. Where the pastor didn't ask me to pass him a fifth. But now so that same sugar that's in the Remy is the Queen. Look, man. Okay, come on now. Okay. Let me just tell you. I want to ask the WVON listening audience, have black ministers become more political than pastoral? Let's go to the live lines. Mansong, you are on the Talk of Chicago.
Hey, Hotep, Brother Mays and Brother Thomas.
Good morning, my brother.
Hey, I'm glad, Mays, that you didn't automatically just say, well, Mansong, just do it quick. Look, I'm a social and cultural change agent with 48 years of experience. Don't rush me, y'all. But let me say this to you. We call the Cook County Board President Taxwinkle. So she has some other monikers also, and rightfully so. Now, as far as the church is concerned, I shared with you what Reverend Dr. Al Sampson taught us a while back. He says that there are 4 kinds of church in the African community. 1, the entertainment church. 2, the containment church, and these are the people that are trying to get on your case and, slow y'all down with the truth y'all spitting. Then there's the prosperity church, and finally the liberation church, which we need more of. People like Reverend Dr. Al Sampson, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, Johnny Coleman, Minister Farrakhan, and so forth. We need more of that, okay? Now, on the Afro-stocracy, these containment pastors, along with their counterparts in the business, government, and civil rights arenas, can be looked at as neo-colonialist collaborators. In other words, we got to revisit Dr. E. Franklin Fraser's book, Black Bourgeoisie, to get a handle on this. There are also Dr. Claude Anderson's Black Labor, White Wealth, Dr. Chinwezu, Decolonizing the African Man, because we have a serious class struggle in the black community. And wherever you have freedom fighting going on, you're going to have collaborators, with the oppressor group. So that's serious, but I know y'all deal with a lot of levity, but we got your back, Mays, and of course, Brother Thomas, we got y'all back.
Well, Brother Mansell, I appreciate y'all having our back, because I'm just going to tell you that I believe that there are princes and principalities working against us right now, because there is some truth being brought to the light. And black folks, somebody said, Charles, they want a liberation church.
Yeah, like you said, Jeremiah Wright, I thought was a liberation preacher.
Hey, wasn't he the pastor? You know what? Don't get me started. Wasn't he Barack's president?
I don't think he just happened to be that person that they called out once Barack became a candidate. But before Barack was a candidate, I used to watch him every Monday night. Before Monday Night Football, he would replay the sermon from the night before. I was enriched by it.
Chris,
myself.
You're on the Talk of Chicago.
Good morning, Mays and Charles. This is the church father.
Good morning. You okay?
I think you might be disguising your voice because you might be a well-known preacher.
Or you might be Ron Father.
Hey, Mays and Charles, I'm going to come over there with my... hey, Mays and Charles. Hey, this Chris from Oak Park. Hey, y'all doing a beautiful job, man. Hey, what they contracts. Ain't none of them preachers say anything about closing 50 schools. Ain't none of them preachers march or said anything about Laquan McDonald. And I'm not trying to throw rocks from a glass house, but y'all bringing truth to light, and I listen to y'all all the time, and y'all give it, you know, both sides. So, you know, I'm with y'all. You know, what's in it for the black people? And hey, I got Rom on the line too. He said, I'm concerned about your future.
We had the church father, Charles. We had the church father.
The church father
and the
just
Rom father
the
was a
Rom
future.
father.
What about the future? All right, let's go to the live line. George, you are in the Lion's Den with Mays and Charles. George?
Hey, Mays, good morning to you, man.
Good morning.
Hey, I listened to what you told us on Friday by making that sign. That's what I did. I had a white poster with the green neon colors.
I got the picture of that.
Everybody can see that.
I got pictures of it on my Facebook page.
You do?
Yes.
You do. All right there. I got a lot of response from that. A couple of politicians real quick. Chewy came right to me. Chewy said, oh, I like that question. I said, can you answer it, though?
Chewy, huh?
I got another one. It gets better. Biff, his camp was coming down. And, you know, some of their camp be walking around ahead of them with their cameras and things. And the guy looked at it, and he ran back and got Biff and brought Biff to me. Make a long story short, Biff was the only one that really stopped and tried to answer the question. Kennedy, he stopped, tried to answer the question. There was a preacher that was riding on back of a car. I think his last name was Brooks. I told him to read it because I'm yelling like crazy now, baby. Read this sign, read this sign. And he looked over at the sign and just gave me a nod like he was ashamed to respond back to it, you know. But so anyway, the sign worked really great, Maze, really great. I was bragging to the wife. My kids was out there with me because I thought you was going to see the sign and bring me one of those darn T-shirts, man.
You know what, George? I got them T-shirts in my car, and if you come around 9 o'clock, I will give you one because I saw that sign. I got pictures. Were you right by the gate?
Yep, right there.
Brother, I got pictures.
I had it taped on the gate because I didn't want to hold it the whole time. You know what I mean?
People screamed at me. You know what? I've got at least 6 pictures of that sign, and people said that you was making people feel like they was either looking and going fast or looking and trying to come to it.
Yes. I made my son proud. He said, Dad, that sign is going to go viral. Watch. And I'm like, I don't believe it, but maybe it did.
Hey, man,
I'm at work 9 to 5, so unfortunately, I'll never be able to make it up to the station, you know, because
you know what, George?
Maybe I can get my daughter to come by there one day and pick it up, maybe.
George, definitely, why don't you go to Facebook, hit me on Facebook, give me an inbox, and I will make arrangements for you to get the shirt. George, I appreciate you. Charles, now let me tell you, brother, the people, they showed up and showed out. The what's in it for the black people signs were all over the place. Let me tell you something. Do you know that I, for the first time, saw a politician on the other side of the gate, and guess who bought a Lion's Den T-shirt?
I saw the governor wearing one.
He bought it though.
He better buy as much money.
As much money as he had on a Lion's Den shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, we are asking the social media question of the day. Now I know y'all scared, man. You might be scared, but we can't. We up against princes and principalities, and I just want to know. Have black ministers become more political than pastoral? Why are they coming after the WVON morning show? I want to know. Give us a call, 773-591-1690. We'll be back.
More of the morning show with Maze Jackson coming up.
There's a bag associated. There's a big bag out there right now.
It's a big bag, and we messing it up for everybody. I'm telling you.
You got a picture with Robert and wearing a shirt?
Yeah.
Send it to me.
Yeah, I got Ronald. He's got the what's in it for. I mean, no, he's got.
Put it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's not a what's in it for the black people. But he's pointing with his back to it. It's like the WVON morning.
Yeah, you know, the thing about it is, like, this is one of them situations, whatever pastor comes forward and, like, you know, and actually does what they want to do, that's the one, you know, That's the one you got to watch. The one that says anything about this, that's the one you got to watch. Remember The Godfather? They said which one is the one that tells you about the meeting is the one that betrayed. That was, I can't remember, but anyway, that's the one. If whatever preacher comes forward in this situation is the preacher that is on the tape. You know what they say? You can throw a brick into a pen full of hogs. The one that hollers is the one you hit. And that's what's happening right now. So whatever preacher you hear talking bad about what we say, that's the one you better keep your eye on. You better be wary of. That's the one that's not about the faith. That's about the dollar bill. Listen to me. Please listen to me. Because what we're doing is casting a wide net here. But remember, throw a brick into a crowd of hogs. The one that hollers is the one you hit. So just listen. Let's listen. Yep.
This traffic report is brought to you by Compassion International. Every child is born with talents.
But you know, we ain't worried about them. We ain't worried about them at all. Yep.
Y'all, I'm just telling y'all, it's on and popping. They do not want y'all to be free. Preachers have been deployed. So my question is, when they come to your church, what do you say? When your pastor because let me tell you, see, I don't think people understand how this really works with the churches. See, well, one day I'm going to just have a class. Poli-Sci 101. All right, let's see who's out there. What up, Craig? What up, Tamiko? What up, Nikki? What up, Nate? What up, Janice? What up, Dennis? Dennis! Boy, you should have seen Dennis repping at the parade. Charles, you go through any of the pictures. Dennis was on the A5A float. I see Dennis.
Yeah, I saw the A5A float.
But he ripped open his shirt. He like, what's in it for the black people? What up, KM? What up, Nate? Guy Washington, Prentice, what's up? Look, they got him out here watching. What up, Tamiko? Amina. What up, Penelope? What up, Edward? KM. Auntie Neil, what's up? What up, May? You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. Charles,
what's up,
the Afrostocracy has been released. Let me tell you now, I believe the pillars...
They're going to try. They're going to try. But I think that people are aware of them now.
But they got but they understand that the pastors lead the black community, Charles. And they know that if they get in the house...
Hey, you know, historically, that's been the case. That was a 50-year-old mid-20th century... up until the mid-20th century situation, because we had no elected officials, so our right to vote was abridged, so we had to have someone represent us, and that became the clergy. But now that we have all these elected officials out there, we don't need them speaking on our behalf.
See, but Charles, that's the problem. See, the problem is the churches. See, but the churches, you know, they tell everybody that they will lead the people to elect them. And
folks believe in that. Now, that's white folks believing that. because they haven't changed with us. They still work in this mid-20th century mentality.
So are you suggesting that the preachers that are telling black folks to stay on the plantation might not be woke?
No, I know they're not woke, and I know that they really don't represent the kind of political power that they say they do. And these white politicians believe that. They believe that they steer the black vote. Black folks think. We think on our own. We pay taxes.
But what about the big breakfast they gonna have?
Who?
You know they got the big breakfast, and you know, look, let me tell you how it works.
The prayer breakfast.
See, you're gonna have a big prayer breakfast, and we're gonna lay hands on them, and we're gonna pray them through, and then you know you get the $50,000 to put the. Hey, Charles.
Folks believe that.
Well,
that's why every civil rights leader had to be a reverend. You know, now we got lawyers, we got politicians, senators, state senators.
But they know how to get that bag, Charles.
Hmm?
They know how to get the bag. I just need them to
get
the
preachers?
Yes.
Yeah, they know how to get the bag from the white folks.
For them.
Yeah, for them.
What about us, though?
Huh?
You know, I gotta
No, they can't get it for us. No. Number one, they don't ever settle for enough. It don't take much to get a preacher going, man. You know, you give him, like you said, a bottle of Remy, a couple of bottles of Remy, or
give them a lot.
Or a lot.
Don't pay the water. Now, if you don't
like
have to pay the water bill, guess what? And you get to come on back. Now, Charles, let me back up and make sure that we clear, because I believe that there are some very good reverend doctors out here. But if you have been sent by Caesar to come after us, then you got to start asking, your congregation really got to start asking questions about you.
And I think they are. I think particularly a lot of younger people are asking questions. Like I said earlier, in my church, which is a fairly young church, he don't do that. He doesn't have politicians come up in there. Oh, no. Now, I don't know what he does in his private life.
But what about the ones on the payroll that are, let me tell you, Charles.
I know, it's preachers on the payroll. I mean, they absolutely get appointed to different jobs. Like at, who's the preacher who got in trouble because he threw somebody out of his congregation?
Oh, Bishop Brazier.
Dr. Byron Brazier. He serves, I think, on some committee with the mayor appointed him. I mean, he's directly involved with the mayor.
So, you know, like they like to put him on those human relations committees, and they put him on a place where they can hire people.
My brother Lucius Hall over in the West Side, he was he was on the police board for a long time. I mean, you got.
Well, he was on the police board while they was killing all these black people?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
I don't know if he's still on, but he was on the police board. I mean, I know a lot of preachers that take these appointments from the mayor, and they get to be big shots at that point.
You know how it used to work. It used to work back in the day, old man Mayor Daley. That's why they ran Martin Luther King up out of here, was because old man Mayor Daley had every pastor who had a radio broadcast had a job with the city, and they got jobs. And so what happens is, see, the power, they concentrate power in the hands of these people who they think control the community. And now, as we start to ask these questions, it becomes real that they don't really control the community. Now, they can get a bus and put the seniors they could put lunch on the bus, put the seniors on the bus from the church, get the motherboard, chicken, and ride them on over through. But Charles, I just got to tell black folks, if you are listening, and I know we got some good, I know we got some really old school pastors who believe that their job is to serve the people. But if we got people out here that are telling our people that we need to stay slaves, that we need to be standing up, we need to be standing behind somebody who has not stood up for our communities, then I really think that our people have got to start asking questions of the people that lead them spiritually. If your pastor's talking more politics than he is prayer, you got an issue.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily bad to talk politics.
Whose politics?
But no, you can talk about politics as a pastor, absolutely, and the morality, immorality involved in it. But I mean, when you start becoming directly involved with these people, that's when you have a problem, and you start doing their bidding of their politics for an individual politician. That's a problem.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Charles, I'm ready to fight. I'm not tired. I'm not. You don't know about that.
I'm no way tired either. I know about that, but I'm no way tired. That's why I'm sitting here, man. at 6 o'clock in the morning, you no way tired. And our listeners are no way tired.
We got to fight, man.
Yeah. But I mean, but I think that there's clearly we're not indicting all pastors. Can't do that. But the ones that get involved in any movement to shut us up or to hush us, those are the ones you look out for. Those are the ones, believe me.
I'm going to tell you, Charles. Keep telling you I get reaffirmations every day, and I'm not scared anymore, brother. And I think we have enlisted ourselves in a fight to the end. We gonna free our people. Now, it's not us, but I believe that there is an awakening that is happening right now, and I'm not tired, man. I'm tired of these fights, but I didn't think it was gonna be easy. I did not think it was gonna be easy. I had no clue it was gonna be this hard. But I ain't tired, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. You know what? The forces, princes, and principalities, they may try to come against us. But Charles, I don't feel that the Lord brought us this far.
No. He never did. He never did.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. When we come back, Salim Muwakil.
Yes, sir. I don't know about you tonight.
It's my song.
But I've been running for Jesus a long time.
Running for Jesus, and I ain't tired yet.
And there's something about walking with him, hallelujah. Every day gets sweeter than the day before.
Nobody told me.
And for some reason, I don't mind the pitfalls. Because every time I get to one, he's right there. Lord Almighty. I can say just like that old mother said that night.
You see, this is all preemptive, all preemptive.
Don't feel no
waste time.
Lord.
You understand? I grew up to that every Sunday morning and Saturday morning cleaning the house.
Yeah, one of your Lions Den viewers, Anthony. Say, Anthony, thanks for the heads up about the prayer breakfast that's happening tomorrow with religious leaders that Farrakhan's going to be speaking at around 9:30 tomorrow.
Anthony, thank you for the update on the prayer breakfast for the preachers. Hey, man, that Minister Farrakhan is speaking at. Minister Farrakhan, what's up? Can I get an invite to that?
He said he suggested that you guys show up. There's something else that I want.
That's Anthony Muhammad. Where's it at?
Salon.
Huh?
It's Salon. On 79, Salon.
Oh, Salam.
Salam on 79, yeah.
I don't feel
Dorothy Tillman just called.
no waste time.
And
Charles, you got the Charles, you got the camera. I come to offer.
Yep. I ain't worried about them. Can't worry about them preachers. Because the church is filled with devils. Without a doubt. We warned of that all the time. Yep. Ain't worried about it. But we gotta move on, man. This is a new era. I think the weekend, we're gonna talk about that when we come back with Brother Salim. We're going to talk about what happened in Charlotte over the weekend. And that should be news enough to let you know that we are entering into a new phase of our struggle. A new phase of our struggle. I believe began at the end of Barack Obama's presidency. We have a new struggle ahead. And we have to sort of regroup. We have to regroup in order to deal with it. We got to have some new paradigms politically, socially, economically than we have had for these past 50 years or so. Because what's happening right now is really not anything different, not anything new. Really, what happened in Charlotte's nothing new. I get a big nah. I mean, so white folks going crazy again. Okay.
Don't.
How many times have they done that in history?
feel no waist tied. Y'all ain't know I had that church in me. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy, but I don't believe he brought me this far. I don't believe he brought me this far. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. I'm telling y'all, boy, I don't feel no ways tied. I'm ready. Y'all ready? What's up, John Street? What up, Renee Scott? What up, Aunt Tennille? Tennille, did you really tell me about some Thai tribute? Let me just be clear. Tennille, that's your generation. I'm Milton Brunson, James Cleveland. I'm old school. I don't want to hear that newfangled gospel stuff. That hip-hoppy, beboppy. Yeah, don't get me started. What up, KM? Charles Thomas, Nate Williams, what's NK? What up, Aunt Tennille? What up, Mary? What up, Gladys? Still running. What up, Nikki? What up, Penelope? What up, John? What up, Gladys? Gwen? James Shotwell? Leonard McGee? Kang? Big Brother? I'm not an activist. I am not an activist. I am a businessman. Activist, I got too many damn rules. What up, Maurice? What up, Nikki? Hey, Maurice, I appreciate your support the other day, too. NK, Tamiko, Nikki, Nanette, Daryl, Robert. What up, Sheldon? Penelope, Audrey, Stephanie, Jeff Pertel, Patah. What up, Eddie? D. Cheney, Rodney Ware, Dennis. What up, Craig Nash? Edward, when we gonna do the I'm gonna need you to record that for me. Kang Mufasa Red, Janice Thomas, KM, Uncle. What's up, guy? What up, Prentice? Hey man, this Rebel Radio, Prentice. You might get in trouble. I hope they ain't send you to spy, brother. That's all right. You can just share the broadcast. Hey, if y'all taking a moment to share the broadcast, hit the button, share the broadcast. I know I haven't said that very often lately, but I really do need you all to share the broadcast, especially if you. What's up to the YouTube live audience as well? Can you all hit the Twitter, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, share it to all of your mediums. To my Facebook live audience, y'all, we have gotten away from share the broadcast, listening to Aunt Tennille. I need y'all to share the broadcast. Make that number go up. See, when you share the broadcast, more people can see and participate in the conversation. Have you shared the broadcast? I can tell if you share the broadcast because the number up there goes up. I don't. That song has been stuck in my head since I heard it. Dude, I really though. Like, I think growing up in the church has been a good thing and a bad thing. Cause I'm gonna tell you, I seen these newfangled preachers that don't even got game. They like new in the game and they ain't really even got their game together. They ain't got their hustle together and I can see straight through it. Like, I know people with 50, 60 years in the game that know how to play it. So when you see these preachers with 10 years, 5 years in the game, Charles, I'll be like, man, you a rookie, man. That ain't how you supposed to lay hands if you trying to close. See, I know how they do it. I know how they do it.
Man, it ain't about preachers. It ain't about churches.
It's about the individuals. I don't feel no ways tied, though. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. Oh, you trying to be hip-hop? Hip-hop, Charles.
Very deeply.
I think very deeply.
I think very deeply.
In about 4 seconds, a teacher will begin to speak.
I think very deeply.
Let us begin. Worldwide War when?
Will all be explained like instructions to a game. See, I'm not
In fact, I'm kind of rational. Black one. The white one or the black one. Right up to your face. You are tuned in to the Top of Chicago 1690 AM. I am your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. Annette Flournoy in the newsroom, as well as Sonia Escobar in as our musical conductor of the Soul Plane. Now, ladies and gentlemen, every Monday at 7 o'clock, we bring in a philosopher. Wait a minute. Is he a philosopher?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the international, intergalactic, superstar philosopher, brainiac of the world, Mr. Salim Muwakil in the building. Salim, how you doing today?
I am doing well, Maze. How you and Brother Charles doing?
Man, we're doing great, man. I'm just really waiting for you to put it down, spit some knowledge for us on this situation in Charlottesville, Virginia over the weekend.
But before you do that, Brother Salim, I want to clear this call because we also want to just do this real quick. Harold, you want to talk to Chicago?
Yes, good morning, man. Love the show, like always. Maze and Charles, I must say that as well as we ask the politician what's in it for the black people, you got to ask these preachers on the south and west side. I would say look at those mega churches that we have here in Chicago. After a while, I mean, you have to look at what is your church doing in the community? What is your church? Do your church speak on the policies of what's going on that affects people every day? You know, for example, there was a prayer on the 9, but I know I have not heard this one preacher preach anything about what's going on throughout the city. You know, so you got to look at some of these preachers. They have trying to run loose scams.
I agree, Harold. I agree, and I think there's way bigger concerns that we need to be dealing with here in the black community, and that churches need to be involved in, just like this thing down in Charlottesville. Salim, give us your take on what happened in Charlottesville this week.
Well, it was a very disturbing event, man. You know, to see these people so brazen. It's a constant in American culture, that kind of white supremacist attitude that was exhibited. But, you know, usually, especially after the civil rights movement and the kind of acknowledgement that was a benighted view of the world, people were a little bit less flagrant in their expression of it. But here, there was no fear, no hoods. Everybody was out with their torchlights and a very, very brazenly symbolic resemblance to what happened in Nazi Germany. They were chanting slogans like "blood and soil" and "Jews" and "you will not replace us," those kinds of things. And so it was brazen, man. And that is a troubling development, because it means that they may start to become more pointed in their attacks. They may begin to focus on African Americans, you know, like go to the black churches. You're just talking about preachers, where there's a place where black people collect every week, and there's some danger that they may begin to start focusing on black churches and other kind of places where black people gather. And when that begins to happen, when that confrontation becomes more explicitly racial than it is right now, it's more ideological right now. But when it becomes more explicitly racial, man, you know, I'm in fear of what can happen, and especially what can happen to us, man, because we're not prepared for any kind of confrontation like that.
But Salim,
yes, sir.
Let's take it all the way back. This has happened periodically in American history since 77, after Rutherford B. Hayes took over the presidency, and he ended Reconstruction and basically gave the Klan and all these right-wing racial hate groups free reign, which began the era of, and then after World War I, remember when the black troops came back from France, that there was an upsurge of this, and the Klan was reborn in the 20s. Then then in the 50s, after World War II, and what was happening in the country then, these people hit the street. And then in the Reagan era, they went back probably in a more civil way that climaxed with which I think was the cynical appointment of Clarence Thomas to the Supreme Court. I mean, there've always been these spasms of racial animus on the part of these white men that have happened, and we've weathered all of them.
We have weathered them all, and in many cases we were prepared and less situated than we are now. So it's not I think an existential kind of fear. I don't think our existence is threatened. Like a lot of my callers do. I mean, a lot of cats are saying that this is genocide writ large. They're finally coming out with it, but. And then, I don't exactly agree with that. I think that there's always been a large constituency in this country that would rather black people not be here. And if they can get rid of us any kind of way, like they did in Argentina, when at one point the black population of Buenos Aires was near 25%, and now it's hard to find any black faces there. And so that possibility looms always as well. But I mean this eruption of racial animus, I think, is something that's been building for a while, and it's really kind of funny to see Republicans reacting so strongly against it when they used it essentially to build the modern Republican Party in many ways. Right after the Nixon Southern strategy began, Republicans enlisted white supremacy and racism into their recruitment package. And so it's a little bit hypocritical, although I do understand that they too are alarmed by the brazen nature of what happened in Charlottesville. And that's the most alarming aspect of it, is how brazen it is.
And let me ask a question, because take out the fighting, right? Like the candlelight march, what actually was wrong with that? Right? Like, I feel like we have displays regularly of how we feel. Black folks march and we say, what's in it for the black people, etc. What is the difference between, not when it got violent, but are they allowed to express their whiteness?
Let me jump in. No, because they are Nazis and Klans people. The Klans
when they didn't have Nazi and Klan stuff on?
Yeah, they did have it on. They
absolutely had it on. When they fought. But I'm saying when they had the torchlight march.
If you are with the Ku Klux Klan, and there were Ku Klux Klansmen in that crowd, those people advocate violent crime. There is no free speech protection for that. Those people are Nazis. They killed Jews in Europe by the millions. I believe that. I'm convinced of that.
And openly echoed.
They don't have free speech to do that. There's no free speech for that.
So I'm asking a question. As an uninformed person, if there was no violence, they
have no right to come out and say those things that is not civil discourse, because they advocate and have a record. Could ISIS do that? Could ISIS march down Fifth Avenue in New York? No, they wouldn't allow that. No.
But see, that's what makes it so troubling, is that they are hitchhiking on legitimate feelings, like this whole neo-Confederacy. There are a lot of white people in that part of the world who feel that it's a matter of heritage. It's something that they should be proud of, and it's a lofty kind of sentiment. And so the Klan and these more nefarious groups are hitchhiking on that kind of legitimacy, and it makes it difficult for many to distinguish between those nostalgic feelings for the Confederacy and the overt racism of the Klan, although they're quite frankly very close in their patrimony. They're very close in the way that they came about.
Let me stop you right there, Salim, because I gotta go to traffic and weather. We'll continue when we come back, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7:17 on the Talk of Chicago. Traffic and weather is next.
More of the morning show with Ladies Jackson coming up.
No, I guess my question is, this is what I'm asking. Charles, take your heads off. Charles! So here's my question, right? I'm not talking about the violent protests. I'm not talking about what happened on Saturday. What I'm asking is, the people that marched, the night march, where you saw the big circle of all the people, and they had the tiki torches, and they marched in their shirts and ties and khakis, right? What did they do wrong? If they never chanted.
We somehow, this country has allowed itself, and it began in 1877 when I talked about that compromise that they pulled the troops out of the South. They have allowed these terrorists. Robert E. Lee was a freaking terrorist, right? He rebelled against this country and killed people. And that flag, that Confederate flag, that battle flag, that was a symbol of violence, that they were willing to do violence against people in order to maintain what was left at that point of the transatlantic slave trade. That is a battle flag. That wasn't the flag of the Confederate States of America.
I'm clear.
Got that?
That I'm clear.
So that's violence. They are talking about criminal violence. Robert E. Lee committed criminal violence against this country. Fuck Robert E. Lee.
So
you
check
know what
this
I'm
out.
saying?
One of the things.
So, and when they want to defend that shit, that statue should have been down 150 years ago.
Well, check this out.
It never should have been allowed to be constructed.
Check this. So one of the things that I was watching and I learned yesterday was that just really what you're talking about, perspective, right? So I was watching and I've been reading a whole bunch of shit. They were saying that they would have never even so in the 1800s to early 2000s, early 1900s, Robert E. Lee and all of those people were seen as treasonists, right? By the country.
Right.
They said that the statues weren't up 150 years ago. The statues were erected in the 60s, 50s and 60s during the civil rights era as concrete memorials to institutional racism or something. But basically that all of these statues went up as we were getting Jim Crow and all of that stuff broken up. But but as the civil rights thing was moving forward, white folks erected these statues to be like, nigga, I don't care how far you think you got, we ain't never letting go, and that statue is here to remind you, and we building it now.
Exactly.
And it's been, so I get it. I just want to understand why, like, is there an opportunity for white people to express white pride?
No, not like that.
That's what I'm saying. How do they do it?
A Nazi doesn't have a right to.
But I'm saying, so the people that weren't, that's how he was saying it was conflated. You are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my man Charles Thomas in the studio. On the live line, Salim Muwakil, and joining the conversation, you may have known her as the former 3rd Ward Alderman. Some people call it a hat, but you know we love her every Saturday morning on WVON. Miss Dorothy Tillman. How are you, Alderman Tillman?
I'm amazing, Charles. Good morning, Alderman Tillman.
Good morning, Alderman Tillman.
Now, hold on. Let me get the conversation in order. So on the live line, we have Salim Muwakil, Alderman Tillman. Now, Alderman Tillman says that she is a black nationalist, and she wanted to add a different dynamic to the conversation. Come on, Alderman Tillman.
Well, I want to first. Salim is a nationalist too, I think. I have a fleeting affiliation with the national.
Y'all so deep,
man. Establish this, and I'll come back another day and talk about this church stuff you talked about, because you're a preacher, sir, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm coming back to talk about this. I don't like y'all to spit on that. But let me just say, I laid awake all night. I watched all day. I went back to my history, because you know I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. So see, seeing Klansmen or something on television is not a far thing for me. I saw Klans march in my community. The same way we marched and we fought for what we had to do. Now, I got a very different spin on this, and I think the black community, once again, is being had. When I watched this fight with the Knoxes and the Klansmen who had their stuff on the other whites, then I watched the other white folks who think that they are our overseers. So you got a group of, because I'm not dealing with party, I'm dealing with the people. You got Republicans, you got Democrats. The Democrats think we own their plantation. So you got that group over there that's been resisting ever since Trump been in. Then you got the Trump people. So they had to keep this stuff going, like they was out there fighting in Berkeley, tearing up stuff. And then you got the other white supremacists. And I mean, you know the difference between a nationalist and a supremacist. And you know, President Cress Welsing always taught us about white supremacists and what they thought. And we understand what a white supremacist is. So you got this group out there, and they're out there fighting, they're running. So you got this dog whistle. So you know, once you say Klans, there's a group my age and older going to get upset. So you got these white folks out there fighting with a few black folks in the middle of them. I wanted to see what they would do to each other. They out there fighting for their Negroes. I'm trying to make sure they get our sympathy. Then the next day, later on, you see black folks whining and crying like it was their march. That was these folks' march. One mad about the election, the other mad about this. But you have to separate. And see, we have to use these airways to teach our people. You can separate the white supremacists from the white nationalists. Sure, white people have a right to be proud of themselves, but I have a right to be proud of who I am. Now, if I was out there confronting those folks, and then I was interpreting this, I wouldn't be dealing with what the Nazis did to the Jewish people because they've gotten their reparation. I would certainly be talking about these are the atrocities that happened to black folks with white supremacy when they denied us our right to read, denied us our right to participate in this economy, and those are the things that we had to fight against, and that's why we have a right to be repaired these damage. But the spin is, oh, the racism, this is that and that. We know about white racism, and we know about white supremacy. And you cannot teach these young folks, mate, because see, you got a young following too. They have to know the difference between white supremacists and nationalism. There's nothing wrong with being proud of who you are, but there's something wrong when you try to keep the people out. So our spin is not on this right now. Right now, we hollering and screaming about the white folks. I saw Klans ride down my street.
Okay, Alderman, I got you right there. And I'm going to say I kind of agreed with you because I didn't think that the white folks that were doing the counter-protesting and marching were necessarily marching for black folks.
They what?
I felt they were marching. I felt like we was talking about not my grandfather because it was Jewish and it was all of these white liberals as well. And I didn't necessarily see that this was a black issue. And Charles, you had the point of, you was like kind of like Big Whoop. I felt like you was like, yeah, so what?
Well, I mean, I think I wasn't as surprised that they were out there and they were doing that. But at the same time, they should not be allowed to do, because they do it in the name of violent crime. Historically, that's what they've been associated with.
They have a
Nazis.
Right to march.
No, they don't. I don't think they have a right to march. I don't think that someone who advocates violent crime is allowed to do that. Personally, I don't.
I understand violent crime because I'm a product of the movement. I'm a product of
I get it, and I'm as old as you are. I understand that.
But see, I went out there, I got scars on my body, and I got folks who got loose, so I confronted the police.
Right, but that doesn't make you any more conscious than me.
No, I have some perspective, Charles. I'm not going to argue with you, baby.
I got perspective, too. I'm as old as you are.
I'm not arguing with you. We can go down different roads. Our fight got you at ABC and stuff, so listen to me what I'm trying to say, Charles. I'm trying to say, we can't fight. We got to teach our people. I'm saying to you that when those Nazis marched in Skokie, you remember that?
Yeah.
And the Jewish community tried to stop it, and the courts allowed them to march as long as they did not.
And the courts are screwed up for that.
As long as they didn't get violent. What I'm saying, we have to keep the moral authority. They have a right, but they don't have a right to hurt and to do things to us. Now, the folks are very upset because of the Nazi signs. I want to talk about the Ku Klux Klansmen, who I saw with robes on, who symbolizes. What do we have to do, Salim? How do we repair our damage? See, our movement have gotten hijacked. Our movement have gotten hijacked from all of these people, and when the movement is over with, our issues are not discussed. Reparation, repairing the damage, a Marshall Plan.
Sister Tillman, I think this is a perfect opportunity to infuse that message into this protest.
Right, to do
because the white protesters, they have an ideological right.
Right.
With the Klan, it's right wing versus left, and that's an ideological thing. They don't see the racial implications as deeply as we do. We can infuse that into the struggle if we're crafty enough, because a lot of white folks are beginning to understand the need for compensatory kind of programs and reparations. They're beginning to see that, and this is the perfect opportunity to make that point even clearer when they see how white supremacy is just accepted as part of the landscape in many parts of this country, and we haven't even addressed that yet. One of the reasons we haven't is because we don't understand how deep we were injured by the institution of slavery and Jim Crow. Right. And this is an opportunity to make that point.
But that's what I'm talking about. You just distinguish between white supremacists and white nationalism and Jim Crow and reparations. I'm saying this narrative. Black folks are crying out here because they don't understand what they're feeling. And I'm saying we have the opportunity to educate our people. What you're saying now is not what I'm saying earlier. I'm trying to say that when we talk about repairing the damage, when we talk about reparation, we need our own narrative. Other folks use us. They want to stop the deportation. They want to stop all the other stuff. As Dr. Anderson say, make it force.
See, that's true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Talk Chicago 1690, and we have a real conversation going on. We have Salim Muwakil, Dorothy Tillman, Charles Thomas, and myself. We're talking about this episode in Charlottesville. You know what? I'm going to keep this. Normally, we only keep everybody for a half hour. We're going to continue this conversation. You are listening to the Talk Chicago 729. We'll be back.
Live from the WVON newsroom. Here's
Hey, Dorothy. Remember whose show now? She got a Saturday show. I like, look, I take the mics down. I think it's a good conversation.
One thing about this. That's why I went back to 1870. I know y'all get bored with my history lessons, but went back to 1877 when the Reconstruction ended. That's when America decided that there would be no reparations and that white supremacy could come back. It was that long ago, and they have never dealt with the whole situation. Remember, between 1865 and the end of the Civil War and to the end of Reconstruction, there wasn't no statues and Confederate flags. Those people were considered terrorists. Robert E. Lee was a treasonous person. He was treason. All those people, Jefferson Davis and all those people, they were bad people. There were no statues to them. It was after this country decided they were not going to pay reparations and they were going to do nothing for these freed slaves. Those statues started popping up and continued to pop up during the 20th century as white supremacy took hold again. So those statues have to come down. That's a first step toward reparations even happening. We have to eliminate that mindset. And the Ku Klux Klan was part of making sure that those statues went up by intimidation and violent crime that they committed against black people. Those people don't have any right to protest, to hit the street with fire and such. Oh, hell no. And then the Nazis, that's another question. The Jews will tell you about the Nazis. Now, I even read some people here on Facebook saying they don't believe the Holocaust happened. Come on, y'all. Don't buy into that. Don't buy into that. Man, there was millions and millions and millions of people killed in World War II. You got to believe that. You got to believe that. You can't buy that the Holocaust never happened stuff. Oh, hell no. You can't believe that. It happened. Believe me, it happened. You know, people got killed in World War II. They got killed. And they got killed by Germans who took people to concentration camps. That happened, y'all. Gotta believe it. And those people, as far as I'm concerned, you fly that insignia or any variation of it, you ain't got no right to be walking up and down the street talking about Nazis good, Nazis good. Nazi ain't good. Can they make a statue to Adolf Hitler? You think they would allow that? You think they would allow somebody to put a statue up of Osama bin Laden in America? Oh, hell no. There is such a thing as bad people and bad stuff. And you can't allow it to be out there in the name of free speech? Oh, no. No. I can't even say certain words. I can't cuss on the air. You know?
Shoot, you can't even say.
You know, I can't even say. Some people get mad if you say Queen Sugar.
Dang!
You know?
You can't even say Queen
You
Sugar.
can't say Queen. I mean, there are people out there. You can let somebody go out there and say this. Oh hell no! You can't. You cannot let people go out there spewing that kind of hate.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Murder.
Hold on 1 second. So Mark, just real quick. I just want to know what black people go to any job that they work at and talk about how they really feel. Like, it cracks me up that people, there's a different job in a different role, and we all have different jobs and different roles. No, Charles wasn't talking that smack when he was at Channel 7 because he had a job, just like 90% of us do. Now he has a job that allows him to talk about the issues that impact black folks. Before, he was hired to talk about the issues that impact all people. Right? So let me just say this. Right, but and the other thing is, who are we to determine when a person reaches their ability to speak on the issues or speak on the things that impact their community? There are people every day who go to work and get treated like Negroes in their workplace and they don't say a word. The fact of the matter is 80 to 90%, unless you work for yourself, and I've been fortunate to work for myself most of my life, then the fact is you got to toe the line. Like, now, do you criticize somebody because they had to toe the line at their job and have a real conversation at work? No, that's the black experience, brother.
2017, like, it should not be anything like this. Like, kids go to school together, like, children are back here getting haircuts. They should not have to witness this.
Watermelon. You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building on the live line, Alderman Dorothy Tillman, and our resident philosopher, that's right, Salim Muwakil. And we are discussing what's going on in Charlottesville. Now, the genesis of this situation was Emancipation Park. Salim, can you bring us up to speed as to how this whole thing even kicked off?
There was a decision about removing the Robert E. Lee statue and other conservative icons, and that generated a lot of opposition from folks in the home city of the University of Virginia. They thought of Robert E. Lee as a hero, and that's how it all began. There was a KKK demonstration a few months ago, earlier this year, in which a few KKK members came to protest the statue's potential removal, and then there was a counter protest, a much larger one, and that focused attention on Charlottesville. No. And then there was a so-called alt-right demonstration a little later, and so it became the focal point of this issue.
Now, Salim, who were the counter protesters? Because I'm hearing some new name or some group that is emerging, and I didn't see a lot of black people in the counter protest group.
Mm-hmm. There's a group called Antifa, which is the leading group against what they consider fascism, or creeping fascism. So that's why I say it's an ideological confrontation right now between the tip of the progressive forces and the tip of the reactionary forces. You're right.
Come on, guys, hold on. One at a time. Go ahead, Alderman. You had something you want to say.
Salim also got two white groups. Now, let me tell you my position on General Lee. I know you're probably going to think this is out the box. If black folks were going to, if I was taking a group of black folks to protest, make sure they now, before I took anybody there, I would have first gave them a black history class and let them understand the struggle of black people, rather than taking black children somewhere, or black folks somewhere to march, and they don't even understand the struggle. That's why you hear this black woman saying, "Oh, I'm appalled. We go to school together." No, hell no, you don't. Go to the west side and south side of Chicago. Oh, I'm appalled. They're in pain, and they don't know how to describe the pain. And because our people are in pain, don't know how to describe it, there's another group that's using our people, and we're not getting anything out of this, nor are we educating our people. And that's why I had issues with this stuff yesterday, because
Well, look, we
with the Nazis.
Check it out. Check it out. We have a group of people who are going there to defend the tearing down of a statue of a man who led an army, men to their death. So to defend what was left at that time of the transatlantic slave trade, which is the greatest atrocity ever committed in recorded history. These people are out there defending that statue. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't get with that.
I'm not being emotional.
No, I get your point.
I'm not. See, my thing is, I'm at a point. I know that our people our age, we're going to be leaving this earth sooner one day, and we got to educate our children and our youth to understand everything from a historical perspective. One thing about all those whites out there, and those Jews, them Jews folks that never know more, they got reparations. They don't need you defending their Nazi signs.
And the only way we're going to get reparations is by getting, first of all, getting those statues down and getting white folks. No, we got to get them out of that mindset.
Hold it, one at a time. One at a time.
Those people aren't heroes.
Okay, hold on, Alderman Tillman. Celine, go ahead.
Before you go ahead, let me ask
Alderman Tillman. Let Celine talk, please. Go ahead, Celine.
When the UN conducted its investigation of what's going on in this country, the racial situation, and advocated reparations as a solution, one of the points it made was the removal of all of these Confederate icons, the removal of statues and symbols that venerated white supremacy. And that was a very important issue that they thought should be included in this whole compensatory package to right the situation of African Americans. So a lot of people understand, as Charles was pointing out, I think, a lot of people understand the need for this psychological rehabilitation in this country.
All right, so look, I'm going to listen, Alderman Tillman.
I need to say this.
Alderman Tillman.
I'm very clear. That's not the only way we're going to get reparations, and you know that about repairing the damage. But right now, Charles took a moment to educate his audience as to why the statue was coming down. Salim, you did so too. I'm not saying it should have come out, because you know I passed the reparation ordinance with 16 other cities passed it, who said that anybody that does business.
Alderman, come on, I got calls.
And reparation, that's an economic piece. They must sign and say, what do they have in terms of slavery? If all these 16 states got together and demanded it, they would begin to bring in to make these companies repair these damage. But to educate our people, one thing we did in the civil rights movement, we educate before we took people out. Right now, these folks are being emotional. They don't know what Charles knows, Celine. They don't know what you know. But he said, we're going to go to general release statute. But these are the facts. And once we leave there, we're going to go and demand that this damage be repaired. But we're not doing it.
All right, we're going to go to the live line. Alderman, we're going to go to the live line because we got callers. People are trying to get through. Let's go to Dan. Dan, you're on the Talk of Chicago.
I'd like to say good morning to everybody, first of all, and I really love this conversation.
Good morning.
Okay, I just like to point out that, they always talking about the historical aspects of the Confederacy and things of that nature, but a lot of people lose track of the fact that these statues and these flags really cropped up right after the Civil Rights movement. It had nothing to do with history. It has to do with sending a message. It's sending a message to black people psychologically, and they have to come down, in my opinion. I agree with Charles and Salim on that point. I understand Alderman Tillman's point about the reparations being the economic part of it, but I think there is some psychological healing that needs to be done. And to me, trying to force Trump to apologize for this, he would have to clean out his whole cabinet pretty much, because he has surrounded himself with people that think like this. In addition to that, the police forces and the security forces around here, some of the security forces were actually alt-right people in full-blown uniforms out there parading in those uniforms illegally. In addition, the police have already taken sides in this fight already. As you can see, every time that there's a clash between anything to do with race, the police take the side of the right-wing people. I just left Mississippi yesterday. I was down there for 3 days. I'm sick of looking at that damn stars and bars on that state flag.
John, you're on the Talk of Chicago.
Hey, Mays, everybody. I agree with you and the Alderman. I think that, first of all, free speech must be protected, whether we agree with it or not, as long as it's not inciting violence or a riot. People have a right to voice their opinion. I do not agree with the Klan or the Nazis, but they have a right to
Don't you think they incited riots and violence over the weekend?
I think that, I can't speak to this particular incident because I wasn't there. I'm just saying if they're not inciting a riot, just their presence is not enough to incite a riot. Now, if you react to them being there and that causes a riot, that's different. But I think that they have a right to express their opinion.
Thanks, John. I agree. Everybody should have a right to express their opinion, but you can't be clear on how people will respond to you expressing it. So let me just be clear. You know, it's a reason why they march through Charlottesville. They don't be march. Y'all ain't seen nobody trying to have a rally in Inglewood. What's up with that? Go march through Rosa. I bet them white sheets will be red. Anita, you on the Talk of Chicago.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I agree with Alderman Tillman on a whole lot of things that she was saying about our history and nationalism and supremacist thinking. But this is what I want to say. First of all, I want to make it really clear that the Nazis have a problem with people, but like I said, I think Hitler was Jewish and German. Black people didn't have anything to do with that one. And another thing is, every time there's some protesting going on, what happened to Kennedy, what happened to Bill Clinton's presidency at the end, and what happened to Robert Blagojevich when all of these people tried to speak up for being fair to people without violence. What happened to these people? So Donald Trump should be careful about walking and trying to listen to every side of the issue. And we have to understand that he shouldn't have to die because these real hostile people out here who's been hostile forever, you know, going to kill him or his family members because he sided with black people. Now, he may want to side with black people, but he also understands what is going on. Just like when Obama wanted to side with black people, he understood what the consequences were. So we don't need to kill our president right now, you know, because of some things we're going through, but we do have to insist that people protest non-violently and come up with their views without feeling they're superior to other people, because that's going to a lesson not learned again in American history. When you do something stupid is going to happen to
Thank you, Anita. Hold on. So, Alderman, please, give me a second. Celine, we are about to go to traffic and weather. Before we do, can you close this part of the conversation? Alderman will bring you back right after this break. Go ahead, Celine.
Salim. You and I agree, Salim.
I just coming from. Alderman, please let him finish. Go ahead.
I thought we was on break. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't disagree with the. I understand where folks are coming from with this thing. I think people are beginning to come to the conclusion about the need for a reparative justice, and I think we can, if we are crafty enough, we can infuse that argument into this ideological confrontation right now that's going on between the left and the right. It's not necessarily about a race. It has that cover because of the nature of these organizations, the KKK and Nazis. But they essentially are right-wing nationalist organizations. And we can use, and we can hitchhike on the argument that tries to refute that perspective by using reparations as a way of making the argument more relevant to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. This has been a heated 7 o'clock hour, and I cannot wait to wrap it up. Not because I want to get rid of everybody, but I'm enjoying the conversation. So we want to encourage you to come back. It's 7:46. We got traffic and weather next. When we come back, we'll continue with Salimu Wakil, Dorothy Tillman, Charles Thomas. You know what, y'all? I might just referee this one. All right. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
More of the morning show.
Ooh-wee! Look at here. Here you go, Charles. You got the camera.
I got the camera?
You got the camera. Go ahead. But y'all want to talk now, huh?
No. It's just that I'm a reader of history. I'm a reader of history, and I think this is just another spasm of this white supremacy. I mean, did we get these? I remember that April night in 1968 when Dr. King was shot to death in Memphis. And I can remember what was going on in those hours after the news was reported that Dr. King had been shot to death. Black folks thought, well, here it is, here they come. I remember my father getting a chair out of the kitchen, getting his shotgun and sitting by the front door with his back to the door and waiting for somebody to come through the neighborhood, for white folks to go who are going crazy to come through the neighborhood. I remember that. So to see these white people acting out in Charlottesville,
white people acting white,
wasn't really new. I mean, I remember seeing the television. I remember seeing Emmett Till's body when it broke in Jet magazine. They showed the picture. I remember the dogs and all that they would bring out, and you see that on television. But again, I remember most of all my father with his shotgun standing next to the door on the night that Dr. King got shot. So, I mean, black folks have been through this. And I know it was much worse in the South, in the deep South. I was in Missouri, which is the South for all intents and purposes. But I'm sure it was worse in the deep South. But we've been through this. What I found curious about the weekend were all the white people out in the street protesting. Did they really understand what they were protesting?
Yeah, they was protesting for themselves, though.
Exactly.
They weren't protesting
and they're protesting because a white lady got killed by the guy in the car.
Right.
I don't know how many protests they've had of that sort when black people got killed by white racists or wrongfully convicted and sent to jail forever. I mean, I don't know that they really have connected all the dots. I don't know if they've connected the dots to this whole statue business. And the fact that down south they have statues of terrorists like Robert E. Lee and these other Confederate generals and Jefferson Davis.
Where's the Huey Newton statue?
Yeah, I mean, but
they don't even got those in.
Black nationalists never went out and murdered people wholesale the way these white nationalists, the Klan and the Nazis, have done. That's what I'm talking about. That makes them differently as far as their view, expressing their views. Come on, if you express your right-wing views under the guise of the Nazi Party or the Confederate States of America, then I'm sorry. You can't do that. That's like shouting fire in a crowded theater or doing something else that against the free speech protocol, if I can call it that.
You know, this is how the Blues Brothers movie started. Charles, I had a caller on there that is very passionate with what you were saying, but will not go on the air. And he feels bad because you're the only person in the corner defending your position.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. We're back. And what I meant to DJ Scott LaRock, I think very deeply.
In about 4 seconds, we'll begin to speak.
You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I am your host, Maze Jackson. Got my man Charles Thomas in the building. Salim Muwakil, as he does every Monday with us. Plus, we have Alderman Dorothy Tillman on the live line. Now, let me just say this, guys. And then because I don't have as much historical perspective as all of you all. But quite frankly, Charlottesville reminds me of, I don't know if you all recall the protest just a little while ago over in Mount Greenwood regarding, a couple of them really, regarding the kids getting called the text message situation. And remember when all the police, when the black people came to march in Mount Greenwood and the police and all those people, it looked exactly the same in Charlottesville to me. It looked all the same except for there were no swastikas. And so while we're all bent out of shape over this, what's going on in Charlottesville, and I do agree with Charles that this is a hiccup, we see incidents like this all the time in our community. Right now, we've seen more people get killed by police on videotape. On videotape, and it ain't been this type of outrage. The world is coming to an end. And I'm going to tell you, them white folks that came out that was marching in Alderman Tillman, I'm going to agree with you with that because I saw that too, which was, here it is, all these white liberals, now they getting ready to fight, but the reality is black folks done got bent out of shape, and they fighting because they talking about Jewish issues. I didn't really see too many Negro signs at the rally.
Look, man, you know what happened in Nazi Germany, man? When that began, that was an ideological struggle between the right and the left. What it resulted in was genocide against people who were considered exposable. And so we have to keep our eye on how these things develop. We simply can't abandon the struggle because we don't think it's directly pertaining to us as an African American people, because we don't have the agency to stop anything once it happens, man. But we are all vulnerable to it.
A lot of black folks get killed in Germany. They don't talk about.
Absolutely. They were exterminated along with the Roma. And
one at a time.
The black people that was killed over there.
Well, some people talk about it. Black people were victims.
Look, guys. Now look. You all are gonna have to talk one at a time. I'm gonna have to take both of the mics out and go back to the Lazy Child show.
So use your show.
Go ahead, Alderman. I know. I listen. So Alderman, go ahead. Go ahead, Alderman.
Okay, I want to say this, Maze, and I want you to be very clear. I don't agree with the Nazis nor the Klans, but I love black people, and everything that I do is based off of what do I think is going to happen to black people. Now, this was not our march. This was the white liberals and the I said that is all left and the alt right fighting whatever their position was, fighting, and it wasn't enough. But they did the dog whistle, the Pablo dog whistle. Once they started hollering, showing the Klans and other stuff, we started screaming. But our issues are not there. When I see young black folks crying about what happened without a context, I'm saying those of us who have a microphone, or those of us who talk to the public, Salim, have a responsibility to educate our people. Yeah, if you're going to take down General Lee's statue, take it down, but let's take a group of kids and make them study what happened during that time, what happened during slavery, what happened during Jim Crow, because we know that we're suffering from post-traumatic slavery syndrome, but this was white supremacists, not white nationalism. People stop hollering nationalism. Dr. Cress Wilson, she told us about black supremacists. Did she not, Salim?
She taught us about white supremacy, right, and how it infuses virtually everything that white people do in this country. But yeah, I mean, we need to be conscious of that at all times. But there is a direct threat to African Americans and what's going on, and we need to understand that there's a threat to us. Maybe, it's not the same. It doesn't have the same dimensions as the threat that the white people, but it is a threat to us, and we need to be aware of it and take the appropriate action.
The white people out there, I think, were protesting the very presence of the Nazis and the Klan. I don't think they connected the dots to the statue, and that concerns me. That maybe they should be more adamant about getting that statue taken down as opposed to just confronting the Nazis and the Klansmen out there.
And, guys, so I don't have the knowledge of or the history of you all being able to actually live through this. But I do think that, Charles, the more I think about this, I do think that this is a hiccup. Right, this is another one of those. I remember being in college. I remember being in college though, and the guy came to our campus, and it was Matthew something, and he was flying all around, and he had a big stink. And I remembered like during the Ronald Reagan era when there was this resurgence of white folks, whatever. But I don't think this
is a little bit different, man. Around the world, there's a resurgence of this kind of nationalist fervor. And in many countries across especially in Eastern Europe. And the Trump administration is kind of tying in and tying into this sentiment, and it's emboldening, and it's emboldening a lot of people who have these views, man, and feel free now to express them. And I think, World War I happened because similar things were going on. World War II happened. I mean, we suffered in all of those conflicts. We don't have the ability to stop them from affecting our community. And so we have to be aware and try to stop them where we can and intervene where we are most effective.
Brother Salim, let me tell you what I see. And first of all, I appreciate you and Charles. I'm going to just tell you that what I saw was the convergence of all of those white supremacist groups that we've seen on the news that be training in Idaho and Michigan and all those places. And I think that was a test, right? I saw those people dressed up in military fatigues and looking like officials, and they vamped on the spot and they amplified the situation. They got their whoop on and then they went back home. I think my biggest concern is that as our young people hit the streets and as they are out here protesting, arguing, etc., the narrative has already been set for black young people that are these marauders that come in and tear up stuff. And I think that the right environment is created, because you pay attention to white folks, how they responded, even the liberal white folks, when Trump said on all sides. Even the liberal white folks that I knew were like, they also brought in, well, you know, you guys have violent protests too. And so I am going to tell you that, you know, I think that there is something going on when they're trying to create a narrative. And I think that these white supremacists are looking to exploit what's going on in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM for Alderman Dorothy Tillman and Salim Muwakil. We want to appreciate them for being on the WVON Morning Show. Salim, tell people how they can find you.
Saturday night, 7 to 10.
Hey, and ladies and gentlemen, just on the low key, you know, Brother Salim and I are going to do a podcast on hip-hop. It'll be real interesting. So stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:58 on the Talk of Chicago. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Don't hang up. We'll be back. WVON.com. Yeah, you know what my biggest fear of this whole thing is that my biggest fear of what I saw was not really about the races, like about the marchers and all of that. It was really talking to a military guy and him saying like, man, bro, look at this. These people are executing tactics, right? And so my fear is that all of these people that do want a race war or that did do there, we got all of these marches and all of these things where if they are officially ready to light the match, they have a lot of places where they could light a match and we would be unprepared. So think about this. Think about Jamal Green leading a protest of black people somewhere, right? And this group of people descends on the group and kicks it off and starts. What happens?
What happens is
do we have a defensive
what
plan?
happens is, I think they start some shit and they kill some people, but then they get killed because the demographics of the United States at this point does not support them winning. They are in a lost cause. They're still fighting the Civil War, yeah, and it's bloody, and a lot of people get hurt, a lot of people get killed, but they lose. They can't win. The country as a whole is weakened because of the division and is vulnerable to
externals.
To people coming in from the outside and dealing with it, and defeating the United States. It definitely weakens the country. But as far as these people being able to win something, they're losers, man. They're just losers.
You know, I think of it though from a different perspective, and we was talking about this with our kids being ready to go to college. Or going to college, and they're in that space, they're in that mindset of like, I'm trying to be free, like, or I'm trying to, or when they going out and they doing that, like when Rodney King happened to us, there wasn't this built up to me, like there was mad white people and there was mad white racists, but I feel like we're reaching a critical mass where these people are ready to take action. And so all I see is at a place like University of Virginia where, man, the new Ku Klux Klan, or at the University of Illinois, man, the Ku Klux Klan is coming to march. Man, we would have strapped up, we would have put our stuff on and went out there. But now you got people out there that are ready to go to another level. And what's our defensive plan? And what's the plan to protect our kids that are out there? Yeah, some kids will get shot, and that's easy to say, but unless it's your kid. Or I want to encourage my kid to participate in this freedom, and that's the part that concerns me. It's just like, I feel like there's a bigger plan for some other people.
Hey guys, I'm
Hey, I'm on the radio. Can I call you right now?
IFA. I'm printing a story on this organization.
What's up?
It's a liberal organization that got mixed up in the middle of this, and
okay.
They were. Some reports are saying they are put a lot of weight on the blame for the violence
where's it at?
that happened, and what this group is all about. ANTIFA.
Oh yeah, we'll get that.
And I got a Washington Post story about what happened, but it's pretty slow.
Man. But meanwhile, they would tell us they telling you put your guns down. They going to buy guns. Well, I'm going to buy me one today.
That's the classic. I mean, what's his name? Michael Moore did that piece about guns, man. That like they trying to take the guns out the city and put them in the suburbs. There are more guns per capita. I've said this for years in Downers Grove than there are in Inglewood. Many more guns. Everybody got a gun out there. In fact, my son went out, man. First thing he did when he moved to Naperville was buy a gun. I said, man, what's up? What are you doing? Get a gun. Hey, man, everybody out here got a gun. I said, yeah, Naperville, they got a gun. In Inglewood, ain't nobody got a gun.
Because in Naperville, if you come stealing something out there, they going to pop you.
They going to pop you. Shit, man. Like at Headwish overnight, man, the guy, man, had a gun. You know? Did you hear he shot 3 people to death?
In his house.
In his house, yeah. But he had a gun.
But he was locked in his
had a firearm permit, everything. Man, I mean, they trying to take the guns away from black people. Yeah, away from black people. They've been trying to do that historically.
Man. What's up, Kenneth Briscoe? What up, Raymond Hubbard? What up, Antoine? What up, Nicole? What up, Nate? What up, Kent? What up, KM? What up, Penelope? What up, Stephanie? What up, Steele? What up, Nate? What up, Raymond? What up, Sly? What up?
You know, that'd be a good show, man.
What?
To talk about guns. Just talk about guns and like what you getting one and not getting one, man. Because there's a lot of different black folks have a lot of different opinions about that. But it's not like we all oppose guns.
We'll continue this conversation.
This is hysterical. This is some background on this left organization that goes out after and protests the white nationalists and their tendency for violence and disruption and destruction.
See, but ain't this white folks doing this?
What's that?
This still white folks. Black folks know we ain't finna go out here and start no riots. We'll be under jail.
Yeah, like I said,
that's
man.
White folks talking about going out fighting the white nationalists. Black folks like, come in my neighborhood though. I got something for you. We ain't going. I'm not going to your neighborhood to come. Like, ain't no black people in Charlottesville. They probably did just be like, stay in the house. What's up, y'all? All right. What's up, L-Dub? What's up, Walter Palmer? What's up, Asia? Wait, say that. Asia, your boy steals. AJ, your boy steals. Walter Palmer. What up, Guy Washington? What up, Marquin McDonald?
Let your booty do that yoga.
Party at the beach down in Copacabana. I'm sipping killer fish. Got my black yoga pants on. Me and Brittany, we've been down in Atlanta. Swatting in the club, call me Dirty Diana. Flexing like a yogi, drop it down, put your hands up. Do a headstand, bend it back, put your legs up. I ain't got no worries, I'm my own private dancer.
Yo, my own private Baby, bend over. Baby, bend over. Baby, bend over. Let me see you do the yoga. Baby, bend over. Baby, bend over. Baby, bend over. Let your booty do the yoga. Flex. Flex. On my head, but the world on my shoulder. Not too much a rebel, never do what I'm supposed to. Bending, never breaking. Watching, I'ma show ya. Stop pushing that button, Charles. You are tuned in to Talk Chicago, 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, even though he over here pushing this button, so he may not be my main man. I got Annette Flournoy in the newsroom, and of course, we cannot do this without the musical director of the Soul Plane, Miss Sonia Escobar. Now, y'all, I'm gonna tell you, when you hear yoga at 8 o'clock, that means we are in the 8 o'clock stretch. And you know, I get a lot of love on social media. You want to see me do the yoga, then you can check it out live on Facebook Live. Go to www.facebook.com/MazeJack, MazeJac, or you can go to the WVON Facebook page and you can watch it. But you know, I get a lot of love. But all the time there's these angry faces, and we used to always wonder, where are the angry faces coming from? Because it's hearts and love and everything flying, and it's Charles Thomas pushing the hate button. Charles, how you pushing the hate button? You been in Chicago, man. You've been in Chicago too long. Charles, I see you chair dancing.
Whenever you're not here and I have to do what you do, I always play the yoga song.
And I see you doing it.
Out of respect, man.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
I give you respect, but I don't like the song.
Charles, I keep seeing you bobbing your head to it. I keep seeing you, man. It's all right. Look, you still pushing the button because you're trying to play it off. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the WVON Morning Show. We're going to continue this conversation. This thing going on in Charlottesville, Virginia, got me, you know, Charles, I'm torn. You know, I was watching and I was trying to get super bent out of shape, but I just couldn't. Because I just felt like, Charles, I've seen way worse.
I have too. Know your history. Know your history. That's what I say to people.
Brother, I saw you see, you talking eyes on the prize, know your history.
No, I'm talking back to read history back to 1870s, end of the Reconstruction.
I'm talking about
beginning of Jim Crow.
Know your history from 2016. From the march in when the black activists took their tails over to Mount Greenwood, and was welcomed by the police with pistols and everything else. Guys, this is not new. It is, where are we though? What are we doing new? Where are we going? Let's go to the live lines, Charles, because I think people had some opinions on this issue. Daryl, you're on the Talk of Chicago.
Man, how you doing? Hey, Maze. Hey, Charles. I just jumped on. I always listen to your morning show, look at the YouTube and everything else. But, Maze, I grew up with you, but I'm kind of with Charles. And the reason I was on here is because when they was marching down in Charlottesville, and like you said, you see a lot more white people than black. My thing is that the idea that they out there marching, and they think they got a right to do it, to express all that hatred or whatever they want to express. You're right, they got freedom of speech. But to go ahead and put all that stuff out there that vile racism or whatever it is, and actually trying to send a message that that is right, that what gets me. And I know we're not really out there doing that now, going up against the KKK or neo-Nazi or white supremacists or nationalists. But my whole thought process on it too is that we got to be vigilant, because even though they sort of send a signal, this is what they believe, this is the agenda they're going to try to push, and even with our president, you see the stuff that happened with us now, how things are being blocked, even with Kaepernick and everything else.
Man, Daryl, I'm with you, but I guess what are we doing? What are we going to do? Like, I'm tired of reacting to racism. Like, guys, can we do a situational alert? Do we have that button? Could you do a situational alert for me real quick so I could get this out? Somebody, get that. You got it for me, Sonia. Can you find it? Because I think we need a situational alert. Because I think people around here are asleep. Now, when she finds it, we're going to come back to it, and I'm going to go to my point. But let's go to Dave. Dave, you're on the Talk Chicago.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to say briefly, you know, if we look at what Neely Fuller Jr. was saying, we might be able to, at least for me, I found out to be a little bit less confused about how what white supremacy racism is and how it works in its refinement stage. And also Dr. Frances Welsing did a parallel from him in that she helps us to, or helped me to understand why it is that it is. And
tell me why, Dave, real quick.
Well, ultimately to supply and take care of itself. Something like the mafiosi, you know. Some of the other things are collateral damage, as it were. But if we really understood its effect, it's like being in a prison camp, and all of us are affected. Black people are affected the worst. But that you have to even ask the question, what's in it for the black people?
That's what I'm talking about.
Warning, warning, warning. Be alert. This is a situation alert from the WVON Morning Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a situational alert. In case you did not know, racism exists in America.
That's an
racism exists in America. It did not go away. It did not go away.
And certainly, I think that situational alert aimed at so many of our people under the age of 30. You know?
Yes.
They gotta,
hey, you mean because they go to school together and they hang out? You mean to tell me
the president was black?
I voted for him.
Right.
I voted for the president. The only president I knew was black in my life. How could this happen? Situational alert.
Situational alert.
Dear millennials, all them people, let me just tell you, all them people you marching next to, all them same people, remember the hippies? The hippies are now the people that was marching in that march. I know you don't want to believe it.
The hippies are the people who were marching in the march.
They were in the march too. That when you
Yeah,
get
there's a
older,
lot of hippies. I saw a lot of hippies out
when you
there.
get older, you stop thinking about smoking and you start saying, "I don't want that dude by my daughter." I'm telling you, I know how these people think.
You mean the hippies were the ones out there in the?
They was on both sides, Charles.
Yeah, you're right.
Charles, they was
were
on both sides.
Yeah.
Think about how many hippies have grown up and grown out of hippiness and become conservatives. Especially now, let Becky come in with Jay-Z. They really, I'm telling you, these racism ain't never went nowhere, y'all. Kurt, you're on the top of Chicago.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Couple of things. First of all, let's stop calling them Confederates. The United States never recognized the Confederacy. They are rebels. They're traitors. So these are monuments to traitors. If you look at Germany, Germany has outlawed the swastika, the Nazi salute. All of that stuff is outlawed in Germany. You cannot even sell memorabilia from the war if it has the swastika on it. And we allow the Nazi symbol over here. We allow the battle flag of the Northern Army of Virginia, which, by the way, that is not the stars and bars. That's not the flag of the Confederacy.
Correct.
That's a battle flag. That's a violent end of it.
And it was created. It was brought its resurgence again during the '60s, like those statues were, to remind Negroes to stay in their place. Kevin, you're on the top of Chicago.
Hey, very good show. I agree. The conversation was it's been very, very good. I allude to Charles, what he brought up about the Great Compromise of 1877. We really need to understand that. And basically what you got is that there's an ideological fight between the northern and the southern white. That war, that fight has never ended. And either way, we are not really receiving anything out of it at all.
Man.
Yeah, and that fight, really, one element of that fight is reparations.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are tuned in to the Top of Chicago 1690. When we come back, we will continue this conversation after traffic and weather.
More of the morning show with Ladies Jackson coming up.
Because they decided to close the Freedmen's Bureau as part of that compromise.
I remember. I remember that because that's when the North pulled out. Like, because during Reconstruction, we was killing it. We was catching up. We had senators, congressmen. We was making millions. And then the white folks was getting pissed off. And they was like, hold up.
They pulled out, man. They pulled out, and this whole situation
and left
has not changed since then. Now, generations have passed and made fixing it even more and more and more complicated. But the fact of the matter is, it began because the United States made a commitment to try to fix things after the war. But in 1877, it all stopped. No more fixing. You Negroes are on your own. And we got people today wandering the streets with only the clothes on their back in the same way that people wandered the streets in the 1860s and 70s. The black slaves, freed slaves, they still doing it. Today, you got black people in the same condition as they were in the 1860s and 1870s. But nothing.
Nothing?
Hey, what time is it? I gotta give her a tune, man.
Yeah.
Where's she at?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing out there? She's right there.
Oh yeah, I need to play. Man, let's see. What are we gonna play, man?
Uh-oh. Now we got Susanna's team on the line. Susanna's team is on the line now too. Mendoza.
Really? What's she on the line for?
No, she's got people watching. Her
really?
husband's on. Yes.
Oh. Hey,
what's up, Kane? What up, Nikki? What up, Kenneth Briscoe? What up, AJ, your boy Steels? Big Lenny. Now I'm just gonna tell you what's up, Leonard McLaughlin. That guy used to look out for me in high school a lot. What's up, Kane? What up, twin? Andre Smith. Hey, Andre, what's going on, man? Hear you running for state rep, brother. Interesting.
Oh, good.
Anthony D. Yeah, I heard Obadeli and Pat are putting him up to run this go round. Stephanie, what's up? Nate, what up? Kent Thompson, Shabazz, Mikal, Karen Coleman. What up, Doug Johnson? What up, Martise Ford, Shabazz Ansar, Stephanie, Tanya Leith Hampton, Marie. Oh, hey, Miss Isadore, how are you? Patah, James Washington, Felicia Muhammad, Reese Moe, Antonio. The ugly faces are not funny. Hey, Tizzle. Boy, you ain't got time for little people no more, man. I try to get you come hang by the... Can't even miss you at the fundraiser, Tizzle. What up, KM? What up, Mikal? What up, DS? What up? L-Dub? Antoine Dobson? Guy Washington? Mark Quinn McDonald? Jeanette Braids? Kind of jerk. You gotta fight for your right to party.
What's that, man?
Beastie Boys.
What?
Beastie Boys. Look at smoking. Then he said, "No way."
Right.
What? 2 packs a day. Some Captain Splash. You are tuned into the Talk of Chicago 1690 AM. That is the Beastie Boys.
I'll tell you what that is.
That
is pure trash. Pure trash.
Charles.
I tell you, man.
Adrian, could you come get your dad? Could you come get your dad? Hey, man, that's one of the biggest selling hip-hop.
We got to fight, man.
Pure trash.
Dude, that is one of the biggest party songs ever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you partied to that when you were 13 years old. Okay.
So Charles, you don't know about the Beastie Boys?
I sure don't.
Def Jam.
I've heard of them, but I tell you, I
Charles.
don't own any Beastie Boys.
Clearly,
I don't own any Beastie.
Right, because you own what's that you own? What you with Cab Calloway?
No, you know.
What's the one that go?
Duke Ellington.
You like that? What's old boy's
Blue
name?
Indigo.
What's the guy with the
Blue
face?
Indigo. How about Coltrane? I got that.
What's that
But
guy?
I'm gonna play something for you at 8:30.
Upon the Swanee
I'm
River.
gonna play something for you at 8:30 that will tell you who I am.
Who you are? All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago. We are going to try and figure out at 8:30 who exactly Charles Thomas is. He will be defined by this
it's part of who I am.
Part of who you are.
Not everything. Part of it.
Charles, I'm going to tell you, I learned a little bit about you this weekend, man. I saw you getting... Yeah, now let me tell you all something. This brother Charles Thomas, he's a cool brother, right? Look, Charles was in player mode, right? Family player mode.
Absolutely.
But you know, Charles, we were out in the Great Southland and Country Club Hills for the War and Average White Band. Shout out to Eric Booker and to the mayor, James Ford, out there for treating us well. But Charles, you know, I came up the stairs. You were sitting at the top of the skybox. You had your little drink. The wind flowing. You and your lady. Y'all was looking real.
Man, it's beautiful out there, man. That is a wonderful, wonderful venue.
Charles, they are sneaking stuff in past us out in the south suburbs, in the Southland.
Yeah, man, they're out there sneaking around, man. They don't want everybody to know
that how great the Southland is turning out to be.
That going on out there.
Charles,
and it's black folks, man.
And it was black folks.
Yeah.
Charles, now y'all got to tell y'all one thing though. When the Average White Band came on, Charles said, "Hey, I didn't know y'all was white for real."
No, that's what you said.
That's what you said.
I got some of that too.
I was like, Charles, you didn't know they was white? He was like, no, young blood. I knew they was white. But they didn't know you knew they was white. Because if you could have seen, y'all have to know, Charles has a way of getting reactions out of people, right? If you saw Sugar Face that day when he said, Madam President, after 2 minutes and 35, that's how they was looking at your face. When you, oh, you white too? I didn't know y'all was white. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the WVON Morning Show. We are continuing our conversation on what happened in Charlottesville. Now, Charles, Todd has gotten me a story from the Washington Post, 2 of them actually, talking about the fear of the violent left preceded events in Charlottesville. And I want to talk to you about this violent left, because I believe that this violent left is really white folks, but the recipients of the ass whoopings will be black folks.
Of course.
Of the violent left.
But you know, the other thing about this, the left, is that the left is feeding, I think, into what's happening in the alt-right. Because the left, for instance, they're doing these protests where conservative speakers can't speak on college campuses. And, you know, the things that are happening in Berkeley earlier
Charles,
this
do
year.
you think that is that where Donald Trump gets his on both sides piece?
Right. He gets it from that, and I think they're feeding into that. Because when you have these conservative speakers that can't speak at, like, Berkeley, I mean, they use that to become defensive. And guess what happened at the National Association of Black Journalists?
What happened?
Over the weekend, Omarosa spoke, and I think she was thoroughly disrespected by the audience at the National Association of Black Journalists. Now, this is what I saw. I was not there. I just saw it. And I thought she was disrespected, quite frankly.
Charles, I've been thinking she's been getting disrespected by black people in general.
Yeah, I mean, it was terrible. Ed Gordon, who was the moderator of a program, a panel that she was on, I thought disrespected the woman. Let her say what she's got to say. You don't have to agree with her. But, man,
Charles, now they would say, now you know that's what they say about us, though.
I don't know, man.
That is what Queen Sugar is telling everybody. We've been disrespectful.
Well, I mean,
she want them to crack
but
that.
It's not like that. I mean, we just, you know, but I mean, what they wouldn't let her speak. They wouldn't let her speak. And they.
Did she have papers?
Who's that? Omarosa? I don't know. She didn't have any papers. It's just they invited her there to speak, and then Then some people stood up and turned their back to her.
Charles,
instead of listening to her, they stood up in the audience, stood up, turned their back to Omarosa.
Black people.
Black people.
I bet the white people
at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention.
White people told
Why'd you invite her then?
Because the white people said, and Charles, it is the Charles. It's the same thing like with you and me. I don't want to be in the same Omarosa bucket, but here's the deal: if you don't say what they want you to say, if you don't toe the line, then the white powers that be go find their preachers, their journalists, their Afrostocracy, and they sick them on you. And then the black folks be like, I'm first to take, I got him, boss. I got this one. Don't you worry, boss. I got that Negro. I'm bringing that Negro home.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting this.
Don't worry about it, boss. I got
and there's not one black unless you own your business. Own it. Lock, stock, and barrel. I don't know no black person in the world that don't go to work for a racist. And look, just because it's the president, don't mean, look, y'all don't even walk into the office of your six employee shop and tell the boss when he racist. But y'all want one black woman that as y'all continue to disrespect her, she can't even say the black folks got my back. So if you do this, they gonna do something. They like, man, she go in there and say, I'm trying to get this for the black folks. They'll look around and say, look, your own black people won't even talk to you.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
But they want to listen.
Charles,
listen.
See, here's the thing. And I try to tell all these operatives this at the same time. And this is why we're causing such an uproar. Because the operatives are paid to make sure that when they boss comes to the neighborhood, that the black people are quiet and settled. If we don't stay quiet and settled, then they are no longer valid. So when you dump on Omarosa in public as black people, you really disempower her when she goes into the office.
Absolutely.
Now, for these black folks that come into our neighborhood bringing white candidates, and we always just smile and be like, oh, because he was such and such and such and such. That's how they keep doing what they're doing to us.
I mean, Omarosa has some explaining to do.
You got some explaining to do.
But let her do some explaining. You invited her there. Let her explain. You can disagree. Certainly disagree, but don't disrespect in public like that. I mean, I don't think you can do that to her after you invited her.
Hey, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I am the host of the WVON Morning Show. My main man is Charles Thomas. We'll be back. It's 8:30.
Live from the WVON newsroom. You know what I noticed about War, an average white band?
No.
They had musicians, session musicians, playing in both bands. The same guys.
You didn't know that?
Huh?
Charles, what
I didn't know that.
All the time.
I know it happens all the time, but those bands were basically the same band playing as under two different names.
Yeah. It's just the singers. It's just like whoever is the quote unquote group.
Right. Front
is
guy.
the group. Whoever.
Just, like there was like the average white band. I think is an English band.
Right.
There's a couple of guys in there that were, and like that one guy Lonnie. But the guitar player, the lead guitar player in both
they
bands
changed hats. They went from those cool hats to berets to be reward. Right. But that's usually like to do a show.
Not usual. I mean, not in a first line event. That's not the case. I mean, you're not going to go see one of your rappers and it ain't him. You know, just because he.
Yeah, but see, I think the people. Okay, so I think people want to hear the song, and as long as the guy who owns the name is still there, then they let them roll with it, right? That's Van Halen.
Yeah, they were kind of an extreme.
Yeah, I think that
nobody.
I think though, if you go to we'll talk
the one guy,
right?
They had the one guy for War. Some dudes were session musicians, man. Huh?
I think. I think they have session like almost every band, even L had a session band, right? El DeBarge.
Yeah, but it was El DeBarge.
So I thought the dude with the mustache was the dude from War.
Huh?
I thought the dude was the lead singer.
They had one guy.
But was War really?
Whatever his name is, the other guys were all. I knew they weren't the same guys, but I noticed that they were guys playing that AWB also played.
Do they tour together though? You know,
Probably.
I was thinking that AWB
Probably.
and War tours together, and I
Probably.
think that's like the package.
Yeah.
Because every single time I see them, they're always
Probably.
Average White Band and
Probably.
War. So I'm guessing that it's probably the package. The band goes, and then you wear the straw hats for the white boys, you wear the berets for the whatchamajigam, and we gonna get our bag and get the fuck up on out of here.
Yeah, but it was pretty obvious because the lead guitar player, the guy at the end. Wait a minute, you was lead guitar, you were for the.
Let me tell y'all. Can I tell y'all something? I'm gonna tell y'all. This is Charles. Charles Thomas be like, hey man, he like they got their little thing going on. Charles like, hey, you're not supposed to be the bar. You like you the only one not get. It's funny to me because you be like, hey man, I noticed that the such and such was the such and such. And it's like, Charles.
Yeah, I know that, but I think it's interesting. I don't think a lot of people realize that because I think like a news consumer. I think like what's a news consumer, and as long as I've been able to do that, it's made me a better reporter. I don't want to be inside game. I don't want to know all the inside shit because once you know all the inside stuff, you're not a good reporter because then everything is ho hum to you. I don't want it ever to be ho hum to me. I want it to be, damn, I didn't know that. Because I think that's what Joe Sixpack knows. To be some kind of inside expert, you're a lousy reporter at that point.
Well, I think that you get to give some interesting insights.
I know the news business like that, but I'm not going to ever want to know politics like that.
And I feel like I know politics like that.
Well, see, but that's not good because then it becomes everything's inside baseball. And you don't know what Joe Public wants to know.
I think you say sometimes it's not good because
No,
I think
that
Joe Public. I think
but
that
you're not a reporter.
But I agree, I'm not.
You're
a reporter.
not a reporter.
I
but
think
I'm saying that as a reporter, you never want to get so immersed that you can't say gee whiz anymore.
Oh, I don't think that. I think so many times though that when we tell these stories, people tell the story from the perspective of the press, and they make it ooh, it's so nefarious when it really isn't that way. Go ahead.
No, I just heard back from Omarosa's people. They want to book it this week. I was trying to find the right spot.
Okay, get her on.
So
figure it out. We tell her we want some tick, and we got some questions. Yeah, so I think like a lot of times when I listen to people report, particularly as it relates to politics, or when I hear like give Mark Brown will tell a story, or when someone will tell a story, it always is this giant nefarious kind of thing as compared to kind of the way things are. I think so many times when people tell the story of politics, particularly here, they have the outside perspective, which is one thing, but I think that they're not often able to break it down.
The conversation about like true ownership of a company and the financial ramifications of it. That's inside, whereas the public would want to know, well, are black people involved? You know what I'm saying? Not who might be generations down the road.
But if it's black people, but if people are looking to tell them that black people are involved, I'm gonna tell them the right way they was involved. Here go your song. But I'm not gonna pump up another pass through, right? If it's a pass through. You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And we are continuing our discussion on the Charlottesville. Have we determined what they call it? Is it the Charlottesville riots? Is it the Charlottesville rebellion? Is it the, what was the Appomattox Court? No, that Appomattox was the end. What was the kickoff of the Civil War?
Fort Sumter?
Was it Fort Sumter?
Firing on Fort Sumter in 1861. when the Confederates fired on the fort, the Union fort, and then Appomattox Courthouse is where, of course,
Robert E. Lee
surrendered to Grant. Although that did not end the war officially. That was just the biggest army in the Confederacy saying, "Uncle."
They are still, and apparently, Charles, some of our friends are still fighting the war.
I think this whole thing is about the Civil War still being fought, and I got to go back to the Reconstruction. When they ended it, they said, we're going back. And now it's going to be a real civil war, not firing at each other, shooting, but just civil, and no respect for the law.
Now, Charles, am I wrong in somewhat agreeing with Alderman Tillman in the fact that this outbreak was really not I'm not saying it don't have nothing to do with black people, but this was not a big black situation. This seemed to be people, left-wing people who don't necessarily always represent our best interests either. They would have us believe when you say Ku Klux Klan, black folks be like, oh, we got to get in that. They talking about us.
No, we got to go home and strap up because we know what's coming.
Right.
I think were reacting more to the Nazis as the Nazis and the Klan as the Klan, as opposed to what those Nazis and Klansmen were out there trying to defend, which is this statuary. I don't think the white folks out there really cared about that as much as they cared about the actors out there, the people, the Klansmen and the Nazis.
Charles, I don't want to say this isn't our fight. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that the same people that are out there telling us we got to be rah-rah are the same that we got to fight these domestic terrorists are the same people committing economic terrorism on us.
Right. They're not going to go out there and demonstrate on behalf of reparations for us.
They're not going to demonstrate on reparations. They're not going to demonstrate on equal contracts at the state. They're not going to demonstrate on not one of these people has said anything about the record unemployment for black folks.
No.
But they say Charles, to me this is all more of that Donald Trump. So now they got to whip it up. Because you know what? You got to add some Klan to it. Because the black folks still have not responded to Donald Trump as forcefully as the white liberals would like them to.
Because we've seen worse. We've seen much worse than Donald Trump. We saw Woodrow Wilson, who allowed the presidents during the 1920s who allowed this horrible racism to happen. It happened when the Klan rose up.
Did we get a statement
from Birth of a Nation and all that happened?
Did we get a statement from the Democratic Party of Illinois standing up against this racism? Will we see a resolution sponsored by Ed Burke to denounce this?
Yes, you probably will, but you won't see a resolution supporting reparations or a Marshall Plan.
How about just a resolution to just make sure black people get to participate equally in the state of Illinois? We are a free state, right?
Right. We're supposed to be a free state, but you won't see a movement to try to get a black company involved in the Medicaid program.
You mean to tell me that not
black people were shut out Friday?
In Illinois?
13 billion.
No, this had to happen in Texas.
No. This was
Mississippi?
Illinois. $13 billion in Medicaid management fees that are going to be paid to private companies. Black companies will get zero.
Domestic terrorism versus economic terrorism.
Of that. And we're going to talk about that more later this week. But black companies are going to get zero. Even though the governor promised last week, he told I think it was.
Well, who are those people he likes to always refer to when it's time to talk about where the black money is?
Yeah.
Who is this?
Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce.
He told the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce last week that a black company would be involved in managing the $13 billion in Medicaid monies. And there were two black companies that applied to be involved. On Friday, they made the announcement of which companies were going to be involved. Neither black company was selected to be part of the $13 billion Medicaid management
Don't we do Medicaid?
program.
Don't black people use Medicaid?
I think a lot of them here in Cook County, and Next Level Health, which is one of the companies that applied to be part of the program, was rejected, and we've had them on our program.
So, you know, I just have a hard time. Let me tell you guys, honestly, I believe I can deal with the David Dukes and the white racists of the world, because I told you I'm about to head out to Bolingbrook when I leave here to go pick up my strap. But how do you deal with the economic terrorism that we live through every single day by the same people who are marching as the left? It seems to me like black people are damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Well, they're not getting involved in our struggle where we need them in our struggle.
That's because, Charles, they know what's good for black folks. They know what's good for black folks. Let's go to Steve. Steve, you're in the top of Chicago.
Hey, how y'all doing this morning?
Great.
Good.
Yeah, I wanted to know why isn't the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, their name it should be buried? Because can you imagine if American citizens that was Muslims, do you think they can go get a permit for a rally that's supporting ISIS or Al Qaeda, any one of those? I don't think so. So I always wonder, why hasn't that name, or either the neo-Nazis or white Nazis, why those names are not buried? How can you still go get a permit for rallies up under those names?
Because Gus who approving the permit, man. Don't you know about this? Steve, you know who's approving the permit is the Klan. They got that all hooked up, man. So you go get the rally permit. I got it. I'll get it approved. Justine, you're on the Talk of Chicago in the Lions Den.
Good morning. I want to talk about something local. Please tell me, what was your evaluation of the broadcast of the Billiken parade?
Justine, I did not get to see it.
Well, I did. I recorded it, and I want you to know I am not happy with those broadcasters on Channel 7. I am a senior. I have been to parades for years. I have watched them. I always record it, and I want you to know those broadcasters talk more about their sororities, their fraternities, their families, the people they knew. They're naming those groups of youngsters. You can see a little bit of them marching, but they didn't name the group. I mean, the broadcasters, the journalists, all of them. I watch Channel 7 on a regular basis. They just did not do the job for our parade. I'm just very disappointed. And this is not the first year, and they need to be called down. They really need to be called down. It was just, it just was not. The parade was good, but many of the groups, they were named. You didn't know. You know, it's like they didn't have a program for that parade. It was like the journalists didn't, and they were just talking about all kinds of things. I mean, it just was. I was very, very, very disappointed.
Thank you, Justine. Now you know what that sounds like.
What?
That sounds like. Did you have her call, Charles? I think you had Justine call.
Let me just say this before you start, because this is yours. I have a non-disparagement clause in my separation agreement. So I ain't said nothing.
Okay, so now this is funny, right? I don't have no non-disparagement clause, right?
Right.
But,
go for it.
But you know what? Let me show you how I'm going to give you your respect. I'm not going to even do it. Let me just suggest this, right? Because I get it. We don't want to mess up the bag. Check out this. Our community is going to continue to suffer a loss if the black people that move into media do not have a sense of consciousness, that do not understand what their role is to our community. I think what she just described is what happens when you have reporters who may not be all the way woke. No diss to anybody. And the other thing I just want to point out too is because one of you know I love my Lions Den, but somebody was talking about, man, Charles, you don't ever be talking that stuff when you was at ABC 7. But I think if you pay attention to what that lady just said, then you understand what it was. We can't always we can't always be Superman in the workplace. Sometimes if you've seen the spook that sat by the door, we have to work and do what we can to make sure that we are properly represented. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. It's 8:47, and I'm gonna tell you what. Next year, just listen to Charles Thomas do the broadcast with WVON, because I think we just need to hijack the parade too. It's 8:47 on Talk Chicago. We'll be back.
More of the morning show with Ladies Jackson.
I was getting ready to give you a layup.
No, I couldn't do that, because I mean I do, you know.
Yeah. See, now let me just tell you. So let me just
people,
let me give you this though, right?
I had to get my bag.
So hold on. So let me just give you, let me break this down for you, because this is a perfect moment. So how you got a non-disparagement clause?
Of course, man.
Right, but look. So you want me to mess up yours, right? Remember mine? Just remember mine next time. So when I bring somebody and I say they friends of the family right now, then don't do me in. Okay?
What? What is this? What is this? So what is this?
I need my picture on the wall.
So what is this, man?
We'll talk about it when I just want you to remember.
That's that thing.
We all have interests.
Yeah, but my interest is different. That's totally different.
You say it is.
But see, here's the place. Here's the deal. And I'll say this. Sacred ground. Sacred ground.
I'm lost. We'll talk about it after.
Yes.
But we all should be able to declare when it's sacred ground.
And but that's full disclosure.
Right. Right.
That wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
That wasn't full. That guy.
Yeah, it was. I said right on the thing. Yes, I did.
No, it's not full disclosure.
Yeah,
I did.
We'll do it after.
Later.
All right, y'all. Tuned in to the Talk Chicago. Where did everybody go? I had to go to the bathroom, Stephanie. All right, y'all. Man, this time goes fast. Okay. All right, y'all. What's up, Aunt Tanil? Who is out there? And have you shared on YouTube? Thank you to everybody. KM. Scott Worden, Raymond Hubbard. All right, don't be trying to spam me. Hey, could y'all, everybody that's on YouTube, can you do me a favor and go over there and give us a thumbs up? Can you like on YouTube? Right now we've got 11 likes. Can you go to YouTube and give us some likes, please? Thank you. Woo!
I don't want my best dressed.
They in a casket.
You can either lead, follow, or get out the way. Make a move, it will make my day. Got a 100-year plan. You just think about the day. Always been about time, more than been about pay. Y'all run with me. Hussein couldn't run with me. Chief come to find you. You don't come for me. At best, you can run a little company. At worst,
I run the whole country.
That's right.
You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Mace Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. We are wrapping up. This is Charles. I don't know where the time goes, but it is 8:51. We have been talking this Charlottesville, you dig? Let's go to the live lines and let's take the calls. Ray, you're on the Talk Chicago.
Hey, how are you?
Great. How are you, Ray?
I'm all right. Well, what I wanted to talk about was, I hope that the listeners or nobody, none of the black people are confused about this. Those people in Charlottesville only represent like one branch of white supremacy. White supremacy is kind of like all encompassing, kind of like how you have Christianity, then you got Baptists, you got Catholics, so their auxiliary views are basically how do you deal with black people, but their main view is that they have a higher IQ. This is what they believe. They believe that they have a higher IQ, so it's only right that they hold all the important positions and make all the important decisions. And so that's really how white supremacy works.
Sounds like Illinois to me.
Yeah, I think he makes an excellent point. I mean, that's just one element of it. I mean, the more insidious forms are the forms that, again, as you mentioned earlier, Mays, where we can't get a contract, can't get the jobs, you can't get a construction job.
Right. Let them people march. Charles, right. Yeah. Them people can march all day long. They can march all day long. But let me tell you, if we were getting paid, if we were participating, we wouldn't even have time to be worried about them. Let's go to Brian. You're on the Talk Chicago 1690.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. It's my first time calling in, and I really want to hit 3 quick points. One, Omarosa. Ed Gordon came on MSNBC and said she tried to change the narrative. That's why he spoke against her on that. 2, about the rally. Well, the one picture that said that the saying, one picture speaks 1,000 words, when the protesters were beating a young black man and the police stood by watching. Okay? We're getting it from both sides. And then following reparations. There is an answer to reparations. Get 1 million signatures signed up. Get a civil rights lawyer. We sue them. And what we're trying to get out of it is, 1, education. Good education for the generation. 2, there's the value of 40 acres today. Gentlemen, have a great day.
Thank you very much, Brian. Let's go to Mark. Mark, keep it short.
Well, first of all, I want to thank those alt-rights for whooping those little niggas down there, for following the white folks down there. Because, like you said, we never get involved, or they never get involved when we talk about contracts and jobs for black folks. More so than anything, people are not paying attention. Black Lives Matter are the lovers of those liberals that they follow everywhere. And we keep thinking that it's a black movement and those are just black people who are out here fighting the black cause. No. As an activist, I'm telling you, Black Lives Matter are the little boyfriends and girlfriends of those the white folks that they follow into those different areas. Now let's flip this. If there's a statue of Marcus Garvey or one of the great leaders of the black community, the black, United States, then they try to come and take it down, wouldn't we fight for the statue?
I think that's we don't got that statue though.
But not only that, we don't have a statue of somebody who actually committed treason against the United States or rebelled against the United States. No, none of our people did that. I mean, these people actually committed violent crimes against the United States. They waged war. They killed people to maintain chattel slavery. And what was left at that point of the transatlantic slave trade, which is the greatest atrocity known to humankind.
Denise, you're on the Talk of Chicago.
Yes, I have concerns.
Denise, you're breaking up. Try one more time. I'll give you one more time.
Hello?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have concerns with the National Association of Black Journalists because during the election, when Hillary Clinton was on there, a forum that they had, the Hispanics asked, the journalists asked questions about what are you going to do for Latino people, how are you going to do it, what steps are you going to take, what do you need us to do. And they turned around and asked the question, what was your most memorable conversation that you ever had with an African American? So I have issues with the National Association of Black Journalists and who's controlling them and what their narrative really is.
I think that a lot of them were showing off, quite frankly. They just wanted everybody to know whose side they were on. They were showing off, trying to make points with the
people who they knew they were going to get ad dollars from. Boss, I got your luggage. See, here's the thing, and let me not disparage the National Association of Black Journalists, but I think it goes to the same premise, Charles, that they all are. For all this time, all of our black organs have been co-opted by the Democratic Party. Yes. So now you think National Association of Black Journalists is the black print defense of the Democratic Party instead of the black print defense of black people.
Right. There you go. Thank you, sir.
So
you just said it.
That is what is happening. And guys, we have got to stop allowing people to conflate our issues with party issues. Now, I'm a Democrat. And I have democratic issues. I'm a renegade Democrat. But when you come and hear me talk on WVON and you hear Charles talk on WVON, we are not here to be the parrots of the party. What we would like to do is be the parrots of the issues that are impacting the black community with a larger platform to share those concerns. Black folks, wake up. We done seen the Klan March. We done seen lynchings. You seen way worse than that in Chicago. You saw Laquan get shot 16 times.
Yep.
And they had on uniforms that you pay for. So why you, oh my God, Charlottesville, the world is coming to an end. Just think, we got to pay the police in Chicago extra just to not kill us. And we worried about, Charles, you done changed my attitude on this Charlottesville. See, man, I'm through talking to you, man, because I came in here all like, the world is going to end. And then I was just like, Dag, Rosewood, Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street.
You name it, they done did it to us.
Hey, Rainbow Beach back
but can
in the
I just
1920s,
say, can we be different?
1918, right after World War I.
All I'm saying is, how about this? Everybody get an FOID. I'm on my way. After I get through with this show, I go get my boy, and I'm going to buy me a strap. And guess what? Test me if you want to. I'm not going to Charlottesville, but if you come in my neighborhood talking that craziness, I'm going to tell you, I got some hot ones for you, and I'm getting the extended clip. You asked me why I need a 30 clip? Well, now we know. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Matt Jackson. For Net Flournoy in the newsroom, for our musical conductor of the soul plane, Sonia Escobar Charles.
Au revoir.
And for your main man, Mace Jackson, you know, if they don't like it, you know what you can still tell them? You can still tell them, Mace said, we out of here, peace.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation. 1690 WVON, Berwyn.
Get that strap.
I'm going to buy me a strap today.
You got to give them 2 weeks. Don't you have to wait 2 weeks?
No, 3 days.
3 days?
I got a strap. I just got to give me ones that can... I got to get the right ones. I got to get the right ones so that when they come in the house, or they try to come in the house, they can't say, oh, sir, I'm going to be like, this one right here, it got papers. Papers. All right. Somebody need to go bust David Duke in the mouth. All right, I need to record.
David Duke still on the...
All right, y'all, I got to get out of here, take a moment, share the broadcast today. Charles, you got anything you want to say to anybody?
Hey, man, I'm good. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Peace out, y'all. We out of here. Later. All right, look at my kids.